I say all that, the burners and whoever's on Twitter talking about MLL in 2006. Like, you got to cut me a break, dude.
Hoagie, we got to talk to the people at the PLO. I don't know how he's getting Pres Row access. It's kind of... Jules, are you in favor or not in favor of James Hogan's Twitter?
Osick, this counts. Whoa! 123 for Graham Osick.
Welcome back to episode 24 of the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show, presented by Duke Cannon on the beautiful Lacrosse Network. Doogs, as fans are calling you the #1 respecter of women, and on-site All-Star Weekend, the WLL getting in action. Talk to us. Bring us through it. How we doing?
Dude, yeah, the chicks were awesome again. Killed it again. Wasn't sixes this time, and I got to be honest, I totally thought it was going to be sixes up until that first face-off. I was like, throw the flag, Matty P. Too many men on the field. Then I saw Matty P. wasn't reffing. I was all distorted. Needed to get a water in my system ASAP, but one thing was for sure. The woman had it cranking. The women were awesome. 10s, Mitch. 10s. Lots of goals. The women played hard. #1 respecter of women. I like seeing more women on the field. We talked about this with Jules later on in the episode. But loved what I saw from the women. Loved how there's more girls playing, more opportunities for SportsCenter highlights. One thing I didn't like was how many stoppages there were, honestly. Too many goals for how big the field was. These girls could run around, more space to work with. That was my one complaint with it.
Yes.
I think overall, I might just be a sixes guy.
I'm a sixes guy. When it comes to women's lax, I'm a sixes guy. We experienced that firsthand on-site Champ Series, got in the action. It was sick. I remember watching that first game. I'm like, can we potentially like women's sixes more than men's?
And I'll say this. There were some girls out there this weekend, though, Mitch, that didn't get the shine during Champ Series. They don't get talked about. They're not one of the captains. I want to say Rachel Clark, one of my favorite players out there right now, but Sam 𝐓𝐇𝐄. Pretty sure she's an assistant coach.
Yep.
Look, as the #1 respecter of women,
bang,
and I always watch women's lacrosse. Everybody knows that about me. She might be the best player I've ever seen.
Wow. Real? Okay.
I was going to ask because you said at Champ Series, you probably said 3 different girls were maybe the GOAT. Charlotte North, Emily Harris-Chuck, Ali Mastriani. I want an update on Duke's
sentence. I don't watch a lot of women's lacrosse, but I think Sam 𝐓𝐇𝐄 is the best women's lacrosse player of all time.
Dude,
per capita, per capita, in my hours of watching lacrosse, like I haven't seen Sam 𝐓𝐇𝐄 play in a couple of years.
Since
and it brought back memories of me seeing her play at BC, and I always thought she was so good. Girl still got it.
She was celebrating so hard. She was awesome.
Doogs,
I thought Izzy was better though. I'm Team Izzy.
I
think she's the best player.
I'm Team Charlotte.
Harris-Chuck was the best
Charlotte North
shooter.
Yeah, all right, Doogs, as a guy who is boots on the ground in President's Row in Kansas City, give me after watching the game live, who your MVP should have been top 5 WLL players after the All-Star game this past
weekend.
Izzy
Skane, Sam 𝐓𝐇𝐄, Rachel Clark, Charlotte North, #4.
Sam
Number
Smith,
5.
the face-off girl.
Yeah, Sam Smith, then Charlotte North. I'm going to be honest. Charlotte would be 5.
Hoagie, we got to talk to the people at the PLO. I don't know how he's getting Pres Row access. It's kind of
because I show up. I show up. Mitch here's the 4th of July. He's like, I got Duncan get off. Duncan on vacation.
We got to talk to Mike.
Mitch, we got to get Pres Row at the All-Star game next year. I mean, come on now.
Let's not forget, actually. Hold on. I'm actually on Dukes' side. Albany, week 1 of this year, was raining. Who was on Pres Row and who wasn't, Dukes?
Oh.
Yes.
Hoagie?
I was on Pres Row with you guys.
Hoagie was not there.
Dude, he wasn't there.
I was on Pres Row with you, Mitch. You know what? I was the one.
selfie of Dukes and I on Pres Row.
I have photos on Pres Row, and I'll have photos on Pres Row, and I also have photos of me sitting on the seat with the wet. My shorts were wet. Well, Mitch was sitting on a Gatorade towel so that his shorts didn't get wet.
AI's crazy nowadays, Mitch.
AI's crazy. Chapt GPT on Twitter.
Oh,
Dukes, what about in Kansas City? How was the venue? How was the area?
You getting a good barbecue?
4th of July weekend.
Great barbecue, great food. Kev was also there. We were chopping it up for a little bit. Amazing stadium right on the water. Seriously, the most breathtaking stadium I think I've been to in the PLL. It felt like a stadium that was built for lacrosse, and that if lacrosse ever had a replica of what they want, or the PLL out of their owners to build stadiums for the inevitable growth of the league, which, by the way, shout out to Paul Kark and Paul Vrabel, they had a little sit-down State of the Union. Tune into that. That was a great little address for the next 7 years of the league, what it might look like. But, they talked about expansion, the possibilities of with the owners and stuff. That felt like, to me, where lacrosse could be in 10 years, with the stadium size packing it out. Loved it. I thought Kansas City, honestly, I was blown away by Louisville's fans 2 years ago. This year, I think Kansas City got if you're going up against the 4th of July, it's pretty tough. But the fans that were there were very passionate. Great stadium, great vibes. Loved Kansas City. Honestly, overall score, one bite, don't work at Barstool anymore. I'd give it an 8.4 City vibe.
Okay, especially on 4th of July weekend, I'll take that any day.
Doogs said one bite. I was going with the All-Star game judge back in the day when Doogs had the numbers.
Which is kind of crazy. I'm still wondering
I know I'm a respecter of women, but if we're getting into the overall All-Star, you know what I think is a stayer, going back to there's going to be no freestyle, the goalie wars. I think they're going to have to make modifications.
That was sick.
Modify it a little bit, but that was my winner of the weekend.
That was sick.
Yeah, I'll be honest, from the TV angle, it looked pretty far away. How many yards was that?
Oh, I think it was I don't know, 12? I don't know.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
It was only
a respecter of women, but you can't you can't do that. You can't do that. It's hard enough to score with a normal woman's stick, and you're making these girls shoot from basically 2-point range with these heavy sticks. You're setting them up for failure.
And they weren't 100%. Using normal lacrosse balls. I wanted to hold one and get a feel for it and be like, oh, what is this?
And then you got Colin Kirst, dude, and you're like, all right, we can work with him at attack. Right by Dobson.
Yeah, I mean, Jules will be on the show a little bit later. He talked about guys that aren't playing so well in 3 games. The coaches are making decisions. They might be switching Colin around a little bit.
They added that goalie wars too this year. It's the first year doing it. I tweeted this live. Watching that, I was like, how sick would not even just because the camp, Mitch, but the 8-meter challenge at the All-Star game? Yes. How sick would that be in the skills competition, right? Where we have
it would be so sick.
So sick to have the 10 balls, 30 seconds with a guy in net. I feel like that would be a must-see challenge next year. I'd love to see that added in.
Paul, Mike will hop on a one conversation and we'll get that going. But I just want to talk about the growth of the game a little bit. I mean, Kansas City, obviously, again, 4th of July weekend, 8.4 at a one-bite Doogs. Can we just talk about growing the game? Jules is going to be on here. He's going to talk about his ML experience almost 10 years ago, playing with the Florida Launch, talking about that game experience. Can we just clap it up one time for just how much the sport has grown in the past 10 years? Just only a couple years ago, we got city-based teams, obviously, within the PLL. I think another thing that I'm kind of wondering, and Hogs, back me up here, I don't know if there's been any chat about a new city with a team, but I think it's got to be the Midwest.
Yeah, it's got to be the Midwest. I know
that was kind of just the first city left out, but Ohio needs a squad.
Yeah, it's got to be the Midwest. Obviously the Ohio machine, the MLL days, they've had the PLL in Columbus at the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium. They've had it in Minnesota. They're going to have the playoffs in Minnesota this year. The Midwest is hungry, and we were hearing some chirping and chatter from behind the scenes that the Midwest wasn't too happy that they got left out of one of the weekends this year.
Look, at the end of the day, not to plug someone's camps, but the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Experience camps are only going to one city in the Midwest. And that's for one reason and one reason only. It's because it's the best city in the Midwest.
Doogs, speak, please.
Doogs, speak.
Hey, ready? Doogs is going to turn into Kevin really quick. I completely agree with you guys.
Wow, look at that. Let's go.
I
think that they're going to have to go up against a lot of competition because I think Minnesota is a region or a team that I think has showed out, has been a very good participant in the PLL and what they brought. Now you're looking at a Columbus. You got the Dallas area. I don't know how much sense it makes right now for Dallas as much as an expansion team, but you kind of got to start going maybe a little bit more south. But Mitch, man, that stadium that Columbus has, Nick Myers, Bud Sweat and Jim, Ben Randall.
And also, let's hit on that real quick. Did we get any flack from not putting the Italian and the German, a.k.a. Hoagie, in the top 10?
Nobody. I'm not even kidding. I was expecting a couple comments. No one even thought about you guys.
No one. You didn't even get a DM or a text on the side being like, "Hey,
aside, you guys are two. You guys are definitely you guys are two of my favorite people I've ever podcasted with in my life. You guys are easily two of my at least top 500 favorite Buckeyes ever. That's a notable
two of your favorite guys you've obviously podcast with. Obviously, it's getting serious with you and the honey. Would Hoagie and I be invited to the wedding?
Dude, yeah, if you keep letting me on this podcast, I know there's like been getting a little hurt behind the scenes. You're like, he's quitting Barstool. Can we keep him on next year? There's all this shit. You can't even go to the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse experience. I'm just happy to be here with you. If we make it that far, Mitch, I mean, you might be in the wedding party.
Bang, let's go.
Wow.
Lock us in now.
Should we do a live show?
We might
do a live show at Doogs'
We might have to
wedding?
do a live show at the wedding to pay for the wedding. Because at that point, it's going to be like year 10 of the league. We're going to be like, hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this at the Ohio State University? In the PLL Premier Zone.
Doogs will get married in the Premier Zone, yeah.
Instead of the bar down lounge, it's going to be Doogs' wedding. I like that call. That would be insane. But obviously, All-Star Weekend just happened. Hoagie, the MVP, is some guy you tweeted about, and he's kind of been racking up the accolades and missing just one. But why don't you talk about Brendan ONeal?
Yeah, Brendan ONeal, another MVP award goes his way, and a lot of people want to give him a lot of slack because he's won a lot of individual awards. He's a Tewaaraton Award winner, USA World Games MVP. Now he's a PLL All-Star Game MVP. So the only individual accolade he has left to win is a PLL MVP at some point. So he's got 3 out of 4 down. I don't know how many players in the history of the league have 3 or 4 down, let alone all 4 when it's all said and done, if he can get an MVP at one point. But, the knock with him, everyone coming at me on Twitter about it is, well, he never won a national championship at Duke and doesn't win anything on the team. It's all individual stuff. But, I mean, from just a player, we know the talent Brendan is. Obviously, it is an all-star game, but showed his talent again, game in, game out. He was the one that had that game-sealing goal at the end. And whether they want to say you play hard or not in an all-star game, they were saying it all broadcast. Jules was bringing it up. Like, if once it gets to be like 2-3 minutes left in the game and it's a tight game, like these guys are trying to win the game at that point. Like, it might be all fun and games at the beginning, but Jules said, he was like, once there's like 3 minutes left and it's like a tie game, it's like, you know what, you want to mess around, like go down a little more down the bench. Like some guys will slide up that want to play, and Brendan had that final goal to seal that. Not to toot his horn in an all-star game with points, but still, he's now got 3 of the 4 main MVP awards, and I'd love to know the list of who has all those awards, if anyone does. But
I was just racking my brain, and I can't think of unless maybe Rambo. I mean, he's got to win a PLL championship MVP too, probably. But
I guess you could add that to the list.
I get what you're saying there, Hoagie.
Of the main awards out there, does Rambo have Rambo doesn't have a World Games MVP though, does he?
Okay, all right, never mind.
Yeah,
that's the key piece. I think is that World Games MVP is the tough one to get.
Yeah,
because it doesn't happen all the time.
Is a gold
secured that
medal
thing
for
early.
Team USA not enough of a team accomplishment? Come on.
No, it is
Give the dude
too.
a break.
For sure.
And you mentioned that competition level, going back to the WLL real quick. I think that they set the tone for the weekend with how hard they were playing, because that was their only game 10-on-10 of the year. And so that's their game. And they were balling out. They were actually playing really hard. And I feel like the next day, it just like kind of that energy carried over. The guys were playing hard too.
Yeah, I'd love to hopefully see next year too. Like week 1 in Albany, you have Atlas Whip Snakes, and then you got like Charm Charging right after. Like the 2 New York and 2 Maryland teams like playing at the same venue on the same day. That's the ultimate goal with the WLL, but that would be sick to have like the men's and women's, same city, same teams, the brother-sister teams playing back-to-back. That would be awesome. Hopefully we get that next year.
We'll see. We've obviously come a long way since 2018. We're keeping this thing going. But Kev, kind of Doogs, Hoagie, you kind of smell something? Smells like some
I got my
Buffalo
sawtooth on.
Trace.
You like that
Oh,
one?
Kev's grabbing. He's got a Buffalo Trace.
Big bourbon soap. I don't want to be the guy, but like, Duke Cannon, work harder, smell better moment of the week. And this week we come at you with the Shazam. We got 2 instead of 1. Kev, what do we got?
Could you imagine Graham Hossick launching this big bourbon soap at you 123 miles per hour? How bad that would hurt.
I'd probably catch it.
Yeah. Graham Hossick shooting 123 miles per hour. Talk about something I did not see coming. When you talk about the 4 guys who were there, my pick was Owen Grant. I thought he was going to win the competition. 123 miles per hour, and Hossick didn't even look like he was trying compared to Jaron Newman, who hit 121 a couple of years ago and set the record. And then on the women's side, I can't wait till next year. I can't wait till next year. Like Newman's got to be like, I'm going back. Like I hope this becomes like a home run race, like Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, but year over year, and they were like one-upping each other by 1 mile per hour for several years. That'd be so sick. But also on the women's side, Charlotte North hitting 95 miles per hour. That's crazy.
Nuts.
I'm blown away by that. Maybe more impressive than Hossick with a long pull at 123.
We were talking about this right after because you were up in the booth and I was at Pres Row. Mitch, hope you can make it next year. So Pres Row's right on midfield. I was right there. I was actually not even on Pres Row. I was on midfield line. Mitch, hope you can join. Hoagie, please. Kev, keep doing your thing, brother. You were grinding away again.
Thanks,
The Clips TLN. We know what you do. But Hev comes down. He goes. You think that was 123? I was at the Jared Newman one again. Mitch, hope you make it one year. But the one that hit the pipe, the one that didn't go in, was the fastest lacrosse shot I've ever seen in my life come out of another man's stick. Pause. And when I say that if that hit cage, I think it would have gotten 127. There's no doubt in my mind.
Really?
There's no doubt in my mind.
Let me ask you this.
Now, going back to this, Mitch, who did get Graham Hossick beat? Who used to hold the record for fastest shot? Can you remind me?
Jared Newman?
Yes, Jared Newman. Fast shot. Didn't go this year. Now, Jared Newman, have you been checking your Instagram comments? Have you had Duncan in the Instagram comments? Are you dodging your phone receipts?
I've checked. Tell the fans.
Yeah, Jared Newman wants to do a little competition. Mitch, Corey, if you could pull this up from last week, Mitch said he could hit 100, which we all laughed at.
I could shoot 100.
No chance.
And you were 75 at camp when we gunned it.
Yeah, it's a fake gun.
Scoffed, even.
He
And
shot
Jared Newman
77
wants
at
to do
camp, and he said it was a
little
faulty gun.
competition for charity, where he goes lefty, Mitch goes with his regular shot. Mitch, now this is going to be from like 10 yards regulation, not Pehlke yards. And we're going to see who gets a faster shot, you or Jared Newman lefty. And whoever loses has to donate $500 to charity of their choice.
Mitch is into that. Come
I
on.
would actually do that. I would do that. You know why? Because I got confidence in myself. You know, I got a lot of haters out there, especially everyone on the show. I'm going to show you guys up. The only thing I will need is a newly strong, freshly strong new STX Stallion Prism Cool Mint Edition. Don't forget about it. I need it strung in a way where I have more whip. If I can get that done, I will be all set. And I will take up
You
Jared
think
Newman.
you can break 85 with the whip?
The fact that he thinks he can shoot lefty as a defender faster than me as not an All-American attackman, but a guy close, I think we should do it.
Mitch, Charlotte North is shooting faster than you with a women's stick with no pocket.
But see, the stick I played with at Ohio State wasn't like a fastest shot stick.
I get what Mitch is saying, too, which I think is fair. Maybe get Chris Cav to string it up or something.
That's
Or
what I'm
maybe
saying.
Maybe he'll be like, Buckeye.
Young wins. Young wins 50.
Mitch had no whip in his stick. That's facts.
I had no whip.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. If I can get some stretches in, torque the back a little bit, I should be all set.
What do you guys think the
Can I
cap
offer
is?
a little third party to this? Can we get Nestler in?
Yeah. Put him in
What if
cage.
Nestler shoots faster
Put him
than
in
you?
cage.
He's just got to be there. Just,
What do you guys-
whether he's shooting or not, he's just got to be there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think the cap is, though? Like, I feel like year after year, we're always kind of beating the record, right? Like, what is the fastest? Do you think someone can ever touch 130? Like, where are we like, all right, this is unbreakable?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Nick
how high
Deagle,
can we go?
Ohio State alum, 128. He hasn't shot in about a year. I mean, if you go to that guy's Instagram right now, he's deadlifting, squatting the house.
So 130 is
I think-
attainable.
I think it's definitely attainable.
I do wonder. This is one of those out there questions. I do wonder, like someone like LeBron, and you're just like, hey, we're just going to train you. Like we're talking about the most elite athlete in the world. We're just going to train you how to shoot a lacrosse stick the way that Mitch needs the whip. Like we're talking like we're going to get you flinging it. How long it would take him to get in the 120s?
I don't know. It's
Or
one
like
of
an
those,
elite athlete,
It's
like
one of those
KJ Adams.
motions. Like that takes years.
So there was a Kansas basketball player, this guy KJ Adams, who was sitting on Pres Row for the All-Star game. He used to play at Westlake in Texas. I mean, this dude was a stud at Kansas. Like 6'8", mean mugging. Played next to Hunter Dickinson, was like a rebounding like freak. And I used to do a podcast with Hunter Dickinson, and I texted him. I was like, yo, your boy KJ's here. He's like, he used to be a stud at in high school. Pull up his highlights if you want. Like, this dude was like a center for Kansas and was playing midfield in high school Texas lacrosse. And I was like, I think that if because he knows obviously the fundamentals of like how to shoot a stick. I'm like, if you got Rabel in him shooting for a year, I'm like, he's getting 120. Like,
Next
there was
year's
no
Zach
doubt in my
Dorn?
mind looking at him.
Zach
Zach
Dorn,
Dorn.
that was iconic.
Zach Dorn's the OG.
He's the next Zach Dorn, sounds like.
Gosh. We'll see. We'll have to find out. But obviously, shout out Duke Cannon. Get your big bourbon soap, Buffalo Trace style. All right, let's keep it going. A little bit shorter episode because we have a fun interview with Jules Heningburg. You guys will see a little bit later. But let's talk about the transfer portal. We haven't talked college lax recently, but I want to chat on some transfer portal news. Chapt GPT James Hogan on Twitter. Give the fans an update. What have we seen? What's the motion been like recently?
Yeah, I mean, the portal is different in years past than it has been. This is really the first year where no one really has the fifth year, right? It's only the Ivy guys who have a couple of those years due to them not playing that second year because COVID happened. They didn't have a season, and they decided not to play that following year. So you have some stragglers there, and then after that, it's mostly injury guys, not like before where, everyone had the fifth year. So the portal's definitely watered down. There's not as many people in it as there have been in years past, just with how the eligibility is now. But definitely a lot of great players. I mean, the top class, I think, looking at it, is Maryland. I think they're going to be the preseason number one for this year. Obviously, they bring back a lot of talent from the team that went to the national championship the last 2 years. Came up short, but, they're going to have stars back. They're going to have a question mark in net, obviously replacing McNaney, but a couple great pickups. We obviously knew about Chris Lyons and Leo Johnson. They committed even last summer, so we knew they were coming all season long. But Henry Dodge, who had led the country in faceoff percentage this year at Vermont, had the number one statistical faceoff percentage of the country. He's coming over to Maryland, which is huge. Jonah Carrier was great for them as a freshman at the end of last year, but that's definitely a position that, in the Big Ten and moving forward, you want shored up, and Henry Dodge is a great pickup there. And then they also got Michael Alexander from Yale, starting defender. I think he'd had some injuries in the past, but he's going to be another guy they can add to that team. John Tillman, year after year, obviously reloads and has a talent on his roster, but, Maryland, with what they bring back, along with what they've brought in with the portal, to me, they're the clear number one starting next year. They're in prime position, not just to make it. Last couple of years, I felt like they had a good team. They could have won it last year, but I don't know if they had that team all season long talent-wise. This year, they have like the team that's like, go get it, if that makes any sense, rather than just kind of make it there. This team's going to be real good.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any question about Maryland's talent level. We always say, like, John Tillman does so much with so little sometimes, comparatively speaking to the other teams in the ACC and Big Ten. But this year's going to be different. I think they're loaded with talent. I love Chris Lyons and Leo Johnson. I think they're going to be absolute dogs. Chris Lyons, South Jersey guy, so got to ride with him.
Don't forget about it.
Yeah, there's tons of great other notable guys in the portal. I mean, Ohio State picking up Jackson Birtwell from Syracuse. That's going to be big. Ohio State graduates a lot of guys offensively. I think they graduate 7 or 8 of their top 10 players on offense. I think the only guy coming back is Garrett Haas at attack. So they graduated a lot offensively. Josh Yago from Air Force, who was an All-American, going to Notre Dame. He's going to be a key piece for that Notre Dame offense next year. Underrated player just because you played at a service academy. You don't see him week in, week out. If you watch his highlight tape, put on his tape, watch him play, he's going to be a stud. He'll be an All-American for the Irish next year. Dante Bowen coming over from Ohio State to Syracuse as a short stick DMD, a position that Syracuse was very, very thin in last year. They lose Carter Rice. They needed to get a replacement. Dante Bowen, Mitch, we played with him. Big body, physical guy. He'll be great for them. The Connor brothers going to Georgetown might have been the biggest win of all of transfer portal. Obviously, you get the 5th year, but then you get the younger Connor brother, too, who is a sophomore, I believe, coming over. Those two will be studs. Georgetown's prime for another great year. And then Carolina Chaos head coach Roy Colsey's son, Kyle Colsey, transferring from Virginia over to Duke. He'll be on Duke this year, which is big. His brother stayed. His younger brother's staying with Virginia. And then we got a club laxer. We always like to talk about MCLA club lax, Mitch. I know you're big in that. Caleb Smith going from UConn Club Lacrosse to the BU Terriers next year. So we're going to have a UConn Husky joining the Patriot League. So those are just...
should have been me in 21. Me, Mitch, Hoagie. I'm transferring.
You see how
let me paint the picture for you, Mitch. I just won a national championship. I'm National Player of the Year. Nick Myers calls me. This is you're like, how did I end up with Doogs? I was always gonna be in your life, brother. If COVID didn't happen, I was gonna be right on that Buckeyes 21 team with you. It would have been us three forever.
I just want to put out there, you see how Hoagie goes, Mitch, you're big into the MCLA. Well, Doogs actually played, and he didn't give him a shout out. Look, the truth always rises.
No, yeah.
But look, at the end of the day, I think the biggest aspect of the transfer portal is Tampa is consistently reloading with
year
D1
after
guys.
year. They still couldn't handle Marco Lombardi, though, Mitch. They still couldn't handle
Marco
D1.
Lombardi, roll the clip. But Tampa has 6 D1 transfers from Bellarmine, Brown, St. Joe's, Cuse, and Maryland. So, again, they had the similar stock last year that transferred in. They're all grad transfers. They couldn't get it done against the Italian up north, Adelphi, right next to Dukes. If they can't get it done this year, it's got to be a coaching thing, right?
That's so disrespectful to Long Island, first off. Well, not really, because they do have a bunch of Italians. Gordon Purdy is like an Australian legend.
He is a legend. He is a legend.
Straight from Australia.
He is a legend. But we're talking about 6 Division I top schools that are getting transfer portals Division 3, 2 level. Like, I feel like it should be a gimme, but it's not. Shout out Kyle Lewis hitting the game winner.
Kyle Lewis, too. I do want to finish on this. Sorry, Kev, before you hop in.
No, you're good.
Kyle Lewis, I saw had draw to Penn State, Syracuse. Was getting all these top schools that won him. Ohio State, I think, missed the phone call there. I actually don't know. But I did see Penn State, and I think Cuse were the big two that I saw. Kyle Lewis going back to Delphi. Didn't want to go D1.
I probably would have done the same thing, I think.
Dylan Renner did it last year. When you're talking about that, Mitch, these guys going D1 to D2, maybe Adelphi just has D1 talent, and they're keeping him home on the island. So what I'm saying,
How
in more
are
or
they
less
doing that?
words,
Is it NIL money?
Yeah, Seth Tierney's got to be getting Gordon Purdy's recruiting staff and be like, get him over to Hofstra.
Seriously.
Doogs is running the money down there to Delphi and Garden City. He's making sure to keep him in house.
Yeah, it's kind of
He
interesting.
kept Dylan Rayner the year before, and now he's keeping Kyle Lewis. He's working it down at Garden City in the shadows. He's keeping the Delphi Panthers
checks.
afloat.
You still got the Joe Tsai one. You're like, I'm not getting Yale transfer. It's not with Yale anymore, buddy.
I love that. All right, let's hop from the players to the coaches. A lot of movement in coaches this year. Yeah. We've seen, obviously, a lot of coaches get out of coaching, but obviously some coaches getting the boot and kind of changing different plays. Obviously, Mike Murphy with Penn, Kip Turner with UVA. Jordan Stevens was an interesting one. When I was there in the fall, he was a great guy. Guys loved him. And they told him about a couple days before they headed to the Final Four that Jordan was out. He was taking another job, I think, trying to spend more time with his family. But, Dukes, for you, why do you think we're seeing such a carousel of these coaches kind of come and go, especially this year?
I mean, I probably think that they see YouTubers like you come in. I'm not even kidding. And they're just like, dude, we are grinding. And not saying you guys don't, but I think it's you probably could make more money if you want to coach nowadays. And it's not like you. I'm joking with you. You work extremely hard. It's one compliment I'll ever give you. But you see someone that
replay that.
You work extremely hard. If you being a coach 24/7 at the college level we talk about all the time, a non-revenue sport, you're probably time away from the family. You're going up to Long Island, down to Virginia, driving through storms just to get denied by Mitchell Pehlke, who's like, nah, I'm going to be a Buckeye. And you're just like,
yeah. No, it is a grind, though.
But then you're like, I could probably just put these clips, coach kids on YouTube, coach these club teams instead, probably make more at this point, and it's less of a grind, more time with the family. I don't know exactly what it is, but I mean, even we see a young cat like Nick Grill at Harvard, he's out. So it's you're talking about a guy that graduated in 22 from Maryland? Yeah. He was on that legendary team that you guys played against, and he's already out. So I'm scared about the health of the college coaching landscape.
Yeah. But I do think with obviously recent news, the new coach's dead period just got announced, and they extended it, I think, 3 or 4 days. So now it's July 1st through July 10th. So it gives coaches more of a break, which is obviously very healthy. So you're essentially doing two.
You fixed it.
Mitch just the whole coaching issue in NCAA lacrosse.
I'm not kidding. Yeah. You said it. I was like, wow, Mitch, good. I thought you were about to say 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
Now they have to drive their kids to the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse experience?
Yes, sir. Don't forget about it. 10 hours of elite lacrosse training, a free SCX head, and a Mitchell Pehlke YouTube
Oh, my
video.
Gosh. I guess
also, if you want to be there on Long Island, Doogs is coming and signing autographs. So
I'll be
stay
there.
tuned for that. Stay tuned for that.
I guess if I'm looking at the coaching stuff, too, it's obviously it's unfortunate that we see a lot of these main moves, at least this cycle. I don't know if it was just this cycle or what, but a lot of the guys were, leaving the sport, not just switching from school to school kind of thing, which obviously we don't like to see year after year, but that's kind of just how it is this year. It seemed like a lot of guys leaving. But, of the main guys on the list, like we mentioned, Mike Murphy obviously had they say mutual parting of ways, but he got booted from Penn. But besides that, all those other guys were assistants. So I think when I'm looking at it big picture-wise, a lot of the head coaches at a D1 school are going to stay. But my question is kind of that second or lower level of D1, how those coaches value it, because let's be real, it's very hard to get a Big Ten, ACC, or Ivy League job because a lot of times once those jobs are filled, they're kind of there for the next decade, maybe 2 decades, right? Yep. So I think of a spot, a guy like Keegan Wilkinson from last year who was a long-time coach at Marist, won a bunch of MAC championships at Marist, was very successful for what MAC lacrosse and that level is. He just decided, you know what, look, I'm done with this. I'm going to go move to Severna Park, coach Severna Park High School, and probably just raise my family in Severna Park, and I'll be the coach there and teach for the rest of my career. So, coaches making decisions like that obviously doesn't help too, right, Mitch? Leaving a D1 school where you've had a lot of success to then go coach high school. So I think it just depends where you are in the coaching rank. It's just there's so few jobs at the top where you really want to be long term. I think it's really just Big Ten, ACC, Ivy, a couple Big East jobs. After that, it's tough. Like, can you be a long term coach at Mercer your whole career? Like, that's a tough.
Yeah.
No shade at Mercer, but that's just a question a lot of people have to ask themselves, and which could lead to some changes.
I think I was with you, Mitch, and Hoagie. I think it was in Albany. I looked up John Tillman's first contract with Maryland to leave Harvard. Guess how much it was?
I know it. I'm not going to say it,
I
but
don't know what
it's
it is.
interesting.
It's interesting given how good of a coach he was.
Was it a lot?
He signed a 10-year. I think he signed a 10-year contract.
I think it was 7.
7-year contract maybe. It was like a long term, 150 each year, 150,000.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure he gets paid more now, but like if that's telling you what someone thinks of you, and I'm not saying the landscape has definitely changed. These assistants that probably are working just as hard, if not more, to prove themselves to get that opportunity. Jules kind of touches on it later on if he wants to coach late in D1. Stay tuned.
Yep.
But I found that interesting.
geez.
We're talking about the recruiting circuit, though, Mitch. And I mean, no one sees the recruiting circuit, I think, better than you. You basically could see the kids when they're 8 years old. I'm waiting till we see this transfer portal list, and you're like Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse experience, Kai the goalie.
Oh my
The
God!
next
When
thing
Kai the
is
goalie's
2.0.
on the goalie's on the rankings, he's like a 5-star recruit.
Yeah, but
God, I love that.
any cats on the circuit you can tell me about?
Yeah, 3 guys that actually all play on one team, which is crazy. This travel team is up there with the Brendan Millens, with the Joe Spolinas, and that 91 squad. But this team is something special. And these guys are all 2027s. That means this is their recruiting summer. So on September 1st, these guys will all be getting bombarded. But to start off with George Caldroni, I mean, this guy is a lethal attackman. Down there at IMG, grew up in New Jersey, plays at IMG. He reminds me of like a Sowers, like one of the shiftiest attackmen we've seen. And we're playing his highlights right now on the screen, but like this guy just did like an air gate at Showtime. He's doing all these like behind the backs. You guys have definitely seen his most famous clip where he went between the legs behind the back. Some kid tripped over the back of the net and scored at PLO Juniors. Like this kid is a phenom in the 27 class.
Mitch, is he the current number one? Is he the current number 1 in the class?
Not yet. So Inside Lacrosse does rankings a week before September 1st. And they do rankings in a cool way where they get feedback from the actual college coaches and kind of get to see, okay, who's actually the best in the college coach's eyes. So those are the rankings I really kind of base everything off. But he will be up there for sure. Obviously, stay tuned for that.
How many of these guys are Buckeyes?
But then here's another one. This is JT Cross. He's on the same team as well. JT has that like Sergio Perk build down out there in Colorado, Valor Christian, and he's got a cannon. But he's also one of the shiftiest players. He's exciting to watch. And he's another one of those guys that like can continue to do it. I think you put him in at one of the top high schools in the nation. Valor is out west. Obviously, they're in Cherry where Asher coaches. You put him in the MIAA, he could be a baller. And he's again just finished his sophomore year. So JT definitely has what it takes. He has that kind of Brennan O'Neill build as well when he dodges, where he's very shifty side to side. But then Sergio down the alley. Then the last one.
Hold up, real quick. Sergio Perkovic, Brendan O'Neill. I heard Terry Foy compared him to the closest thing to Pat Spencer since Pat Spencer. These are crazy comparisons for this kid.
No, he's elite. He's elite. But Bodie Harmon is another one. Obviously in the goal, he's elite. Like, you know, these guys just won the NAL, one of the biggest tournaments on the circuit, just up there with Naptown. And Bodie Harmon is the goalkeeper and the guy. You know, started at Culver, will have every offer in the book out there in Culver, Midwest guy. These 3 27s are playing on one travel team. This is a crazy team to look at. It's potentially in the best ever card.
How are they playing on the same team, though? Are they all like from the same area?
So it's just national teams
It's national now.
Okay,
Yeah.
When these teams,
okay, that's fine. That's fine. They could be the best team.
I know it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even going to put them in the same category as these other teams you just named. If you're not all from the same area, I will not take you serious. Cool, like you're with Team USA U15. Cool.
Yep.
Don't respect you. Respect the players, not the teams.
Like
How do we feel you two?
That goalie is a fighting Irish.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the goalie's going to Culver. The Culver helmet. He's going to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, I got JT Cross going to Duke. I think the goalie go to Notre Dame. Caldroni, UVA. That's my calls on those 3. But look, let's say this right now. George Caldrone, New Jersey guy, Kev. I don't see any MIAA guys here or any Long Island guys on this list, Mitch.
Wow.
Are you guys worried about the hotbeds of the sport there?
Because they need to go play good high school lacrosse, so they had to get out of Jersey.
Their club team's not paying Mitch enough.
No, that's not the case. But I would say on that,
Mitch, where's the
there's
MIAA
definitely
guys?
There's definitely guys, but they just haven't sparked interest. A guy like George Caldrone has been hitting between the legs, behind the backs for the past 3 years. Like, that guy's going to be in front of my eyes because of social media phenom.
That's
JT
what I'm saying.
Cross.
That's what I think about George Caldrone. I think if he grew up in the era with the Brennan O'Neals or an Eric Spanos where they were committing in 8th grade or whatever, like people would know in their head, oh, like you've seen George Caldrone probably go viral 5 times, and you didn't make the connection who George Caldrone is and all these. But if he's like, oh, this is the kid who's committed since 8th grade, he would be that level of star. That's my take on him for sure. Yo, Mitch, can you get any of these kids to commit on the show?
Yes. Can we get one?
That would be sick. That would be sick. Stay tuned. September 1st, right around the corner.
Mitch, you got any predictions on these 3? You know a little insight. You think they're ACC, Big Ten cats, Ivy cats?
I'm thinking Caldrone is either Hopkins or Princeton.
Oh, so he's an Ivy, or yeah?
Yeah, because he's got the New Jersey connection, so I'm putting Princeton up there.
Fair.
I'm putting JT Cross at either.
He seems ACC to me.
Yeah, I'm either Duke or UVA.
Yeah.
And I'm putting Bodie at
Buckeyes? Culver West? Can we get him? We got Tasty though.
I could see either Notre Dame or UNC.
Notre Dame or UNC.
So
Duke said Notre Dame lock. Yeah.
Yeah, Notre Dame absolute lock. Absolute lock. But now let's hop into an interview with a guy that's done it at every level, Jules Heningburg. And now we welcome Jules Heningburg. Clap it up. The one and only Jules. Long-time subscriber, some would say. You're probably one of the first big names on my channel. What did you see in the Mitchell Pehlke brand about 4 years ago that really wanted you to come on the channel?
Well, let's start off with it took way too long for me to get on the show. And I'm gonna blame Doogs for this.
Yeah, blame him.
Because he was excited to get me on, but I was like, how is it taking us? How long has this show been out for?
About a year and a half.
Over a year.
Year and a half, yeah.
It's been a year and a half, Doogs.
But Jules, going back to it, I mean, we saw Scotty stumbling and mumbling over his words. It was like, he's like, oh, I'd love to have you on. I'm a closer. I'm in the moment. I'm like, Jules, let's get you on next episode. He's like, done deal. Scotty's still thinking about asking Jules to hop on TikTok. I'm like, this is what I do, Scotty. I close deals.
You get stuff
Scotty's
done,
still thinking
dude.
about putting one out.
You get stuff
Me
done,
and
dude.
Hogan, we don't really know each other. Kevin, I'm gonna say works a ton. It's Mitch's show, so it's on you, Dukes. That it all falls on you.
Yeah. So
Mitch,
that's why we put these pieces in place.
Well-
I'm going to blame Duncan.
Intern dunk. But Jules, keep going.
No, in terms of being a subscriber, I don't honestly watch YouTube a ton right now. But back to you came to my house, dude. That's loyalty right there. Mm-hmm. You know, showed up, was in the basement with me grinding. Pause. That's crazy. But what I saw was grit, pure loyalty. Guy showed up to Maplewood and had a camera, and I respect that.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. We'll never forget that. 2021, the grind, and now we're here. Jules has been in some more content, and now you're on the show. It's sad to say this is your first time. I mean, I think you should have been in the first season, but again, we'll hang that on Doogs' hands. But you're obviously All-Star Weekend, Kansas City. Kind of walk us through that atmosphere and what that was like.
First thing, the venue itself, incredible venue. KPC Stadium, Doogs, is that right?
SPKC.
SPKC. Unbelievable stadium. Overlooking the water. I don't know what water that is. But there's a river. The water doesn't look great, but the fact that there's a river there flowing is pretty cool. The stadium itself, unbelievable venue. I think every lacrosse venue should be built the way that they had this setup. They have the suites down below. Mm-hmm. They had branded seating. It's like the teal color, which is the color of their professional soccer team out there. Just really like intimate space, but intimate venue, but a lot of space as well. It's pretty dope spot. And then obviously the women were there playing first WL All-Star game, and then the men did their things. We had the skills comp. It was a great weekend.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things, Mitch, going off the stadium really quick is it also was it was a women's stadium. So like it's the only women's purely women's professional sports stadium, I think, in the country. And
Wow.
it was beautiful. And again, like what Jules was saying, like the whole seating, the arrangement of it all, Kansas City like really shows out for their women's athletics.
Yeah,
Everyone
let's
was
stick
saying-
on women's athletics, actually, as Doogs just puts it. Obviously, WLL. We first saw all that magic get announced earlier this year, then obviously at Champ Series, and now to the All-Star Game. Where do you see kind of the WLL heading in your eyes, Jules?
Well, I think just from a competitive standpoint, these girls were out there. I know it's their only game of the summer, but they took it like so seriously. The competition level it was actually unreal to watch. It was a long game. I think that's something they're going to have to kind of figure out and tinker with, just the length of the game. But there was only 10 girls on the field, and I mean they were getting after it, high scoring. Izzy Skane, I mean she was dropping buckets. Rachel Clark was dropping buckets, and there was a ton of talent on the field. And I think honestly, I was telling this to my friend the other day, where women's sports are right now, just from a social media perspective, and just we all talk about Caitlin Clark, but I'm a Paige Beckers fan. I've been Paige Beckers fan for a minute now. And I'm genuinely like watching the WL, and I'm like, I'm watching Rachel Clark. I'm like, she's huge, and she moves really well, and she's getting buckets. I'm a Rachel Clark fan now, just because I'm watching the game.
Right.
So I think that's what's going to happen is they're going to get platformed, and people are going to pick it up.
I love that. Do you think for the WLL it's going to stick professionally with the sixes format, or do you think we see an evolution of getting back to kind of their traditional field setting at the pro level?
Dudes, I feel like you're talking a lot about the sixes versus the outdoor game right now. What are your thoughts on that?
I think where I stand is like, if you want to do the 10s, because I like, number one respecter of women. I'm all for having more women on the field, more women getting played, more women getting on SportsCenter top 10 plays. I think that if you're going to do the 10s format with how much open space, what Jules was talking about, you're going to have to get rid of the face-off. Like, you cannot have, in a very competitive game, it was 24-20. Like, you cannot have that many stoppages in a 10v10 full field game and expect draws after every single possession. And going off it, I think Sam Smith was the girl's name. I was watching it, and, I'm enjoying my 4th of July, Mitch, something you can never do. And I'm thinking, like, wow, this one girl is controlling possession every damn time. And I was like, and I thought it was, like, just multiple people on the team. I think the girl went 39 for 45. Kev, is that correct?
Yeah, I think she only lost 5 draws, and they should have just given her the ball at the start in the middle of the field, I guess. Instead of just doing the draw.
So, like, that's going off my point. You didn't even need the draw. Just go. But that's my biggest takeaway from the WLL.
Personally, I loved the sixes, to be honest. Like, I thought that was, like, great in February because it was, like, so identical to the format. But I did think 10s was a big improvement of what we see, like, NCAA college women's lacrosse. Like, and they weren't doing 8 meters or anything. Like, I don't remember there being, like, a penalty or anything like that. Like, I was fine with that not being in the game.
Okay, my biggest takeaway, too, I lied, was, like, I was like, you cannot play this with, like, 10-year-old chicks because how careful you have to be about the way Charlotte North can't just rip it with, like, no 8 meters. Like, it has to be only played at the professional level, or, like, someone could get very, very, that was, like, one of the things that stood out to me right away. I was like, this could be a hazard. So that goes back into your point. Maybe sixes just overall is the way.
Hoagie, you're on Twitter a lot. We're gonna have to talk about the Chapt GPT stuff on here at some point. But is Doogs the first person to ever say ban the draw control on
he
a
might
live
be.
podcast? Because that's a crazy take.
You know what, ban? As a face-off guy myself, that I'm always going to be on the draw control and the face-off side. I think, can we tinker it a little bit? Because that many stoppages and that many draws, maybe that's a lot. But I'm always going to be on the side of the draw. As a face-off guy myself, I can't be on the opposite side of that. You got to stick with your guys.
Damn,
But the
Jules,
Chapt
you gave me so much
GPT,
credit
the
there.
Chapt
I'm definitely
GPT
the first
stuff
person
is
to ban the
crazy.
draw control.
The Chapt GPT stuff. I want to ask Jules. Do you think the stuff my tweets sound Chapt GPT?
Dude, I gotta be honest with you. Dukes was trying to explain it to me. All I saw was this guy put out on Twitter that this is your takes and it's ChatGPT. What I saw was that
Kev, he got pranked too.
ChatGPT.
Kev, explain it to him.
Pranked.
Kev, explain it to him.
I think it was just a Twitter guy who was nice at Photoshop. Nah, I know Hoagie.
Because I've never chatted, and the funniest thing is that exact tweet that you probably saw, Jules. I literally was like sitting in my kitchen, and I tweeted that exact thing, and then like 10 minutes later, someone's like, got him or something. It was like the perfect exact thing that I said. And Kev was in Philly at the PLL weekend. He said like everyone in the booth on staff at the PLL was like, he just got caught using chat. And Kev was like, are you guys serious right now? Like, this is a burner Photoshop in it. But it got everybody. It got everybody. But yeah, the Magic
Also,
Johnson.
if you ever ask ChatGPT about lacrosse, you'll realize why Hoagie doesn't use ChatGPT. ChatGPT doesn't know anything about lacrosse.
My biggest reason for people who want to say ChatGPT is if you actually look at my tweets a lot, I got a punctuation and some spelling errors from time to time, and ChatGPT ain't messing that up. That's all. That's what I got to say about that.
Hoagie, if I asked ChatGPT right now, I was like, could you tell me, could you make a tweet about the 2019 Maryland-Virginia game? It would be the one that you spit out today.
You think?
The ghost goal in the NCAA quarterfinals between Maryland and Virginia is still one of the craziest endings to a game I've ever seen. Maryland led 12-8 with 3 minutes to go before Virginia won.
I'm a storyteller.
They would go on to win the national championship.
Mitch, you know me from all these days, man.
Hoagie, if you were at Ohio State and you had that in an essay, you'd get caught for plagiarizing. They'd be like, ChatGPT.
Honestly, maybe my brain's just ChatGPT because
you're just AI.
I'm just AI because at first I was like, damn, everyone says ChatGPT. I've never heard ChatGPT a thing in my life, and then it became like a joke of its own, and then now it's just you got to roll with it and roll with the burners. But yeah, I guess it's just my style of tweeting.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Jules, are you in favor or not in favor of James Hogan's Twitter?
First of all, you got you, dude. You're starting to believe your own narrative right now. That you don't even make your own tweets. That's how good this guy's burner was. But I know I'm in favor. Honestly, you know what I respect is you're consistent. I actually don't care what you're saying or what you aren't saying. There has to be more consistent people out there saying stuff in general. So I appreciate that out of you. I follow along. I honestly do.
I appreciate that, Jules.
Bang, I like that.
Fellow Jersey guy. He's got my back there.
Don't forget Maplewood, baby. Don't forget.
on.
Top back into the PLL.
Wait, can we talk a little? Can I ask
I'm
Jules
from
another WLL
Ridgewood.
question?
Yeah.
Oh wow. So you're not loyal either. So I was blaming Doogs, but you're a Jersey guy, and you know.
Yeah,
couldn't
I
hit
guess
me
I'm
up,
part to
couldn't holler.
blame here. Not get Jules on too as a Jersey guy. Yeah.
Jules, I don't know if you know, I'm a Jersey guy as well. Just so you know. So all Jersey guys, South Jersey, South Jersey.
That's
I
not
was
real.
gonna say that. Yeah.
See, now we
something
got 3
smells a
Jersey
little-
guys in this pod. You for Baltimore Cats, Long Island, get them out of here. We got Jersey running this show.
I love that. Let's hop back to the PLL season. Obviously, the first half of the season just happened. Who's a player in your guys that surprised you so far this season?
So, did you watch the All-Star game? You hear me talk about it?
I did not. Who was it?
Dylan Malloy.
The OG
And
Birds.
MVP. Dude, Dylan Malloy, first of all, I played with him in Florida, and he won the torch on it. People treat it as if it wasn't the best player in the country by a large margin, and he was doing it at a time where like guys like Matt Rambo, who won the torch on, was there. Pat Spencer was in college at the time. I think he was a freshman. There's a lot of guys. There's Connor Fields was playing at the time. Like there's a lot of guys that were unbelievable talents playing, and he won the torch at Brown, by the way, and brought them to the Final Four. Played on a broken foot, gets to Florida, which was I hate to say this, godforsaken land in the MLL. That's where I got drafted. I was playing with an attack line with Kieran McCardle and Dylan Malloy, and to this day, I've never seen a player. He shoots out of contact accurately better than anyone I've ever seen do in the game of lacrosse. And he just hasn't been playing PLL for whatever reason. There's rumors, there's this, that, and the third. In and out of the lineup, Chrome, Atlas, finally gets a shot. And the guy is, to me, Jared Bernhardt, Jeff Teat, and Dylan Malloy are the most entertaining players right now to watch. Jeff Teat's having a little bit of a down year. Bernhardt's getting going. But Dylan Malloy must watch TV, and if he keeps it up, MVP, in my opinion.
Wow.
I love that.
Dude,
Why do you think it's so surprising?
Me?
Which part?
Yeah,
I will never rebuttal against Dylan Malloy. I can completely agree. It's just like, oh, what's changed this year? It's like, I don't know, a coach actually thinks that I'm good. It's like, oh, why do they think you're good? It's like, I don't know, I'm 6 foot, 220 pounds, can run over anybody and can pinpoint it wherever I want to put it. It's like, anytime someone's like, that guy could win MVP, I'm never going to say he can't. Also, Long Island tough. We're talking about the Long Island Railroad. We talk about Hugh Kelleher. The Long Island Railroad couldn't exist for Hugh Kelleher without Dylan Malloy paving the way. He was like the first railroad going through Long Island from the city.
Okay.
He was the born and bred Long Island Railroad.
Malloy too, I think, solidified himself now. Probably for I feel like he's been bouncing around teams and not really been able to find a solid home until this year. And now I think he's solidified in that Woods lineup at least next year, and we'll see after that. But I feel like he's had from the Sixes. What was it with the Chrome on the Sixes? And then he was on the Atlas.
The inaugural.
He was on the Atlas at the beginning of last year. Then he finds a way in the Woods now this offseason. So it's good to see him shining. I mean, they forget about that 2016 Brown team. I mean, I know he played in the game like Jules said, but if his foot wasn't broken like that, that team was loaded. They had Larkin Kemp at LSM. I forget what the faceoff guy's name was, but he was good too. They had Jack Kelly and net. Like, they had a loaded roster, that Brown team, and they only lost in overtime to that Maryland team. So I don't know. We could have seen a Brown natty if his foot wasn't broken that year.
Alex Tullett, Henry Blinn, also on attack. You remember that shot Henry Blinn had? Mm-hmm. Yeah, what happened?
Yeah,
I don't know. I honestly, Jules, this is what happens. You just shake your head. The one that I'm thinking about was Brendan Caputo, like the time room bullseye from. That's legendary. I thought Matt Graham was one of the most underrated players in the country for Brown that year too. I loved his game.
It's not Henry Blinn either. It's I think it might be
Kyler Balestri.
No, it was the other attackman.
Bailey
might be
Billy Tills.
Yeah, it may be Bailey Tills. Yeah. Blinn was a lefty. I don't think he was on the 2016 team, but it was Tills getting up the hash and then a backhand goal. You know what I'm talking about?
Kind of.
Oh,
I mean, I thought that 2016.
Yeah.
I'll say this: if we're going to talk about 2016 Brown, which I did not know we were going this direction, I actually found that team to be more entertaining than any of the Albany teams.
Wow.
I like that take.
That team was good.
Interesting.
That 2016 Brown.
Like, they came right after Albany, and I kind of thought wow, this would be. No disrespect to, I know, they made it probably they made it the year after with Fieldsy, which again, that team was also very exciting. But I remember they came right after Lyle's years, or maybe even his senior year, or whatever. And I just remember being wow, this team has the goods, at every single position. Jack Kelly, we're talking about what ifs with foot. When he was at the peak of his game, when he tears ACL, one of the worst knee injuries of all time. He was going down as one of the best goalies ever. For a little bit.
Team USA goalie, and then tore his ACL.
Damn. Who do you like to win the championship this year as we obviously head into the second half of the season?
I think that right now it's the PLL it's so competitive every week. I know that's obviously a narrative, but it actually you show up and it feels more likely that you might lose than you might win games. And I think everyone, not saying they go into the games thinking that, but when you're going into the game in the back of your mind, we might lose this game and we could lose the next game. And then now you're in trouble. You lose 2 games in a row. It's crazy territory in the PLL because it's such a short season. But I think if I'm looking at the breakdown right now, Denver Outlaws, they're playing well. I don't think they're going to sustain what they're doing offensively. I think people are going to start to figure it out a little bit. But let's say that they're number 1. Let's say number 2 is probably the Boston Cannons. And then after that, I think it's there's a couple people in the middle of the pack. Yeah, I think the Whip Snakes are right there.
You think it's a big drop off, or you just think it's?
I don't think it's
I don't
think it's a big drop off. I think it's just they're kind of in the upper echelon right now. And then I think after that, Whip Snakes are a team that could win it all. And Stags has shown that year after year. They have all the pieces. Carroll is starting to play very well in the cage. You got Joe Nards at the faceoff X. You got young guys all over the field offensively that are performing. TJ Malone, he's my favorite player in the PLL, not necessarily to watch all the time, but overall favorite player in the PLL right now. And I think they've been tinkering with the lineup. Levi Anderson, I mean, he's like a Josh Byrne 2.0. He's unbelievable. He's going to be elite in the indoor game, elite outdoor. He got slotted into the lineup, obviously tough situation for Rambo. Water Dogs are another team that I think are starting to figure it out, and they maybe played well in the beginning, maybe fallen off a little bit, but I think they have the pieces, and it's more just Coach Tierney and them. They got to figure out that chemistry because they've always had a consistent ability to win big games. Last year was tough for them, but they're showing this year that they can kind of do it again. I just think it's going to be a cohesive thing with the line. They've had a lot of lineup changes. He's getting his guys in, this, that, and the third. So I think they have it. And then past that, the Atlas, I mean, they've made some lineup changes too, and Chapt honestly just need the ball more. But they kind of always fold in the playoffs. And
Regular season team.
yeah, that's their DNA. And until they don't, right? So we'll see what happens.
Jules,
it'll be
I feel like
interesting.
there's been great parity like since the start of the league, and we're talking about like who do you think is going to win the championship? And the question is really like, will anyone separate themselves from the pack? Like 2 of the last 3 weeks, we saw the Chaos, who everyone was saying was the last place team, beat the Cannons. 2 weeks before that, we saw the Outlaws, who everyone thought was the last place team, beat the Water Dogs, who looked like the best team in the league. So, what do you think it is in the PLL that like leads to such parity and such a balance of talent across?
I think it starts at the top with coaching, and there's a lot of changes with the coaching staffs, right? We've seen over the years with different teams, but you're not playing every week with each other. So like the DNA of these teams very much carries over from season to season if you keep the same staff, and then if you change the staff, now you're again like you have training camp, and then all of a sudden you're playing games, and now each week you're tinkering with different stuff, and now you might have a coach who, you know, he might not agree with the culture of the team or what's going on, and you have to make a decision. Is he going to stick with what's going on, or is he going to start to make an influx and make some changes? And in real time, that stuff, it has to like unfold itself as the season goes on, and I think that's why you see teams kind of go through these waves. And then I think also there's just positions that you have to be elite at to win in the PLL. You have to have an elite goalie. And you have to have, I don't think you need to have the best faceoff guy, but you need a guy that when push comes to shove can get over 50% with the top dogs in the league. And then you start to back out from there. You need short stick defensive midfielders. Like you need guys who, one guy can occupy the pole, and then you need shorties who can cut up the short stick defensive midfielders who are elite, draw slides, create offense. Because you're not going to be able to rely on, I told this to Sowers, I was like, you guys, they're not going to be able to rely on Michael Sowers to win them the championship and do what he's doing. Like that's going to slow down 100%. And then Coach Tierney's going to be looking around and being like, okay, what's our backup plan and how fast can you switch that on in the middle of a game and then week to week and rely on it if what you've been doing the whole season is just give Mike the ball, let him get switches on shorties and let him produce, right? And so these are things, again, you're not practicing, so you have to kind of figure them out quickly over the course of the season and then in real time make game adjustments as well, which some coaches are a lot better at that than others.
It's so interesting that you went straight to short sticks after faceoffs and goalies, because didn't Paul Rabel say on the broadcast with you that there's an argument for Danny Logan as the MVP? Do you buy that, or is it like
He
kinda,
said
was
if
that
they win the
hyperbole?
championship that there's an argument that Danny Logan's the best player in the world, I think he said on the broadcast. I think that's what he said.
He said that.
Yeah, he said that.
I don't think that's crazy. Do you remember when we were talking? Remember when we were talking the other week about, we were like, do you think Liam Entenmann will win MVP this year? And I was like, no, but I think he will win one at some point in his career, just like Blaze did. When you're at this like specialty position, to win an MVP is so tough. If there's ever a short stick D midi that wins MVP, I think I'd pretty much bet my life that it's Danny Logan.
The best. All right, here's a game for you guys. Who's the best short stick D midi of the past 7 years of the PLL?
I think it's Danny Logan.
Yeah, I still think it's
I don't know if
Danny
he's the
Logan.
best this year because he's been hurt a little bit.
At his best, in his prime, who was it?
I got a sleeper, but it's not him. I think, you know, want to know what I think the best short stick D midi season maybe, or most underappreciated.
Are you going to say Ty Warner?
I mean, he's definitely. I think his 2020 Champ Series was. I actually was going to go with a fucking curveball. Matt Wichter, 2022 for the Water Dogs. I thought was elite in that run.
Yeah, he's super underrated, Matt. But it's Ty Warner. Ty Warner is the best
there it
short
is.
stick D midi of the past 7 years. Yeah.
Come on.
At his prime, first of all, these guys are studying to be doctors. Him and Ben Reeves on the Whip Snakes together. Imagine this guy going all in on lacrosse. How unbelievable he would be. But I've never seen a guy. He was literally LSM out there. He was so sticky, elite feet. So you hit him with something, you're not running by him. But then, like Danny Logan, these guys, they stick onto you. He's not going to crowbar you as much. But when he got his hands on you, there was no way you could leave him. Where Danny is a little bit more. If you pop him, he'll move. Ty Warner wasn't like that. Like he got onto you and it was just like this, like glue, staying with you the whole way until you got the ball to your stick. Go.
You think he's the
sick.
greatest short stick D midi just of all time in all professional lacrosse, MLL included?
In the past 7 years for PLO, he's the best in my opinion. I can't speak to like
Right.
the past 20 years specifically. I think it's such it's a position no one really has talked about in the way that we're even talking about it right now, because I just don't think it's gotten the publicity. But now you see these guys are changing the game. Like I literally see in real time. I'm sure you guys see it on the circuit. Mitch, you're out there coaching young kids. They're doing stuff that they're seeing these guys do. Like the crowbar, like this was not a thing growing up. Yeah. Now kids are just going for it, and I'm like, dude, holy shit! Like you're getting that, and that now to me, like if you can do that, that's like you being. I'm not going to say like an elite two-handed attackman, but you look at the quarterback style players, two-handed attackman that can feed, and then you look at short D middies and like, can you crowbar someone and like get sticky? And if you could do that, man, like you're the guy that I'm recruiting.
What do you think about when that's called a hold? It's never called as a hold in the PLL, but in college you see it a lot. What do you think about that? Think it should be a penalty?
I think they made an adjustment this year. They talked to us. Seth and Rachel did before the season started, and they said that they're going to call that more intentionally. And I do think that if you hit it, it's one thing, but I think if you hit it and you start to lift the player up and start to basically you're grabbing onto me, because it's like you're hooking and then they're getting like under you to pick you up. I think that's a hold, and it's impeding my ability to get to the net. If you could do that, I might as well be able to just fucking punch you in the middle of in the middle of a dodge, which I can't do.
Jules, we were talking this weekend. I thought it was very interesting because I was thinking off the top of my head when you asked. You were a two-time All-Star, or an All-Star multiple positions, attack, midfield. I think Grant Ament immediately popped into my mind as someone else. It's probably like been an All-Star two positions. I'm not sure if it's a fact or not. But going off that, would that be your biggest piece of advice for someone like a Josh Balsarel, like someone who is an attackman in college looking to play professionally for a really long time? It's just like getting used to playing, but both coming out of the box and down low. Because even when we're just talking about Dylan Malloy, like we're saying he's in and out of lineups because like as good as he is as an attackman, obviously he wasn't being able to come out of the box consistently to be like a threat. So would that be a piece of advice if you have someone that's looking to play in the PLL that's in college right now?
Before I answer that, Kevin, you got to check this. This is I don't know how true this is, but they said on the broadcast there are only two players in the history of pro lacrosse to be an All-Star at two different positions. They said Gary Gate and they said Grant Ament. I told Doogs I'm pretty sure I did it two different times at two different positions. So it'd be four times, twice attack, twice midfield.
It's not All-Star. They won Attackman of the Year and Midfielder of the Year. Which is crazy. That's like number one. That's not just All-Star.
So
That's
Grant won Midfielder of the Year.
He won Midfielder of the Year last year. You could argue like him and Schreiber were right there, and then Schreiber got hurt, and then Ament, Archers go all the way to the championship. So you could say it was probably Schreiber last year, but runner-up, I don't know.
That's elite.
It's still crazy.
That's a completely different conversation. Is if you won the Player of the Year in two different positions. So Gary Gate did that as well.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
to that point,
That's
crazy. To that point, all the kids that I train kids in Jersey and Connecticut. All of them come into training either in 6th, 7th grade, whatever. They think they're attackmen. I'm like, look, dude. Not only high school is one thing, but when you get to college, and Mitch, this, Hoagie, this. There's going to be guys that are captains, all conference, all American, that are sophomores, juniors, seniors, and those guys are going to play until they graduate. Sometimes those guys rotate out for injury. Sometimes you have a phenom that comes in, then they might start over those guys, but that's super rare. What you often will see is you come in as a freshman and you're a attackman, that if you can't then flex the box, like right away, you'll see practice starts in the fall and guys are starting to get separated in their positions, and then you play your first fall scrimmage and it's like we're starting our all conference players and leaders from last year at attack, and then we might sprinkle you in a little bit as a 4th, 5th guy. But now the next question right away, hey, can you run out of the box? And I think some people are under the impression that that's not how that goes. And if the coach can look at you and say, hey, I can run you out of the box, well, now you're getting time on the field to play. And these kids don't realize that time, that film for you and that experience is so valuable to build your confidence and your trust with the coaching staff. So then the next year comes and those guys graduate. Now it's much easier to slot you in as opposed to you got no time for the past year or 2 years. You've been sitting on the sideline, and now they're going to try to, put you into the lineup.
I guess going off that, who would be your favorite invert attacker to midfielder this year coming out of the draft? Is it like an Aiden Carroll or a Matt Trainer? Like, or
Are you
someone
gonna
else.
you classify Matt Trainer as an invert guy? I feel like he's been doing a lot of damage from up top.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like somebody that has made that, like someone that's played was an attackman in college.
Oh.
For their senior year, coming in, they can't play attack. They're playing midfield. I guess Aiden Carroll did switch down to attack in the last game that he played. But is there been anyone that stood out that kind of is doing what you did in the PLL for so long?
Well, I think to that point, right, you just kind of mentioned it there. Is like Aiden Carroll was a scout guy when he got to Georgetown, and he was going to do whatever they said for him to do. And then Matt Trainer, Coach John Haas at Penn State, he's a guy that embraces the idea of a more positionless lacrosse. Everyone's got to be able to play in the two-man game. Everyone's got to have both hands. You got to, be deceptive with your shooting. If you're getting down the alley, it's not just like, hey, you're spraying and praying low alley shots. But he's teaching a lot of the stuff that Trainer's doing. That's Haas' impact, right? Haas, to me, one of the best midfielders ever play in the PLL. And someone like Matt Trainer, he did play attack, but he also played midfield through his time. So now, again, you get to the PLL. Now it's not just college. It's hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Or not just high school into college. Now it's what are you doing in college? That's allowing you to be flexible for the pro game as well. And I don't think coaches are necessarily coaching players for that, but that's what allows the best colleges, in my opinion, to thrive offensively. Is they have players all over the field that can do multiple different things. And you see ex-attackmen, like the days of just having an ex-attackman that sits behind the cage and just stands back there, that just doesn't exist anymore. Like Dale Malloy, he's not really an ex-attackman. He's not feeding the ball too much. He's the only player in the PLL that's just going to rack you one-on-one, no pick, and go to the goal. Every single other player in the PLL that's a dynamic one-on-one threat, they're getting picks set. Look at Cav's last game that he went off, Pat Cav. I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but my man was getting them picks. He gets a shorty switch, and then whoop, he's going to the bucket. And if they don't slide, like that's a bucket for him all day.
Interesting. God, I love you breaking down the game. Obviously, you're coaching a ton of guys in high school level. You played at the highest level. Would we ever see you coaching at like the Division I level, or is that not in the repertoire?
I think it's in the repertoire. I just think it's a matter of I really respect college coaches because these guys. There's been a lot. Scott Bita. Let's use Scott Bita as an example. He got the job at Rutgers. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, got it.
Rutgers.
Scott and I played together at Rutgers. I was a freshman. He was a junior. He was a captain. We played a little bit together on attack that year, and we had a good relationship, but a much better relationship my sophomore year. And sophomore year, like he was my guy, unbelievable leader, and just he made such a positive impact on me. He graduates. He starts doing some training stuff, but he immediately goes into the coaching realm, and he moves to Pennsylvania to go coach at Lafayette. And it's like he's going to a school where it's Patriot League, they're bottom of the barrel at that time, and just grinding. Now you're coaching over the summer or recruiting over the summertime. You're doing the camps, you're doing the clinics as a guy who's maybe not getting paid as a first assistant, and even if you are at some of those smaller schools, you're not making over $50K doing that. So now you're doing that for 5, 6, 7 years of your life. Then you finally get the Michigan job after you've needed to figure out how to find success at a school like Lafayette. Someone gives you a break, he goes to Michigan. They turn around, they win 2 Big Ten championships, or 1 or 2 Big Ten championships, beat Maryland, get to the dance, and now he's coming back home to Rutgers where he played, and now that's sort of the dream job in a lot of ways is to come back to your alma mater and be home with your family. But man, it's been a decade of that for him to get there, right? And I that wasn't in my cards graduating school. And so I just respect the guys that go through that to make that happen.
Speaking of Rutgers coaching, what are your thoughts on Scotty Royster coaching the Rutgers club lacrosse team? How's he doing? How was this season? As an alum yourself.
What a shitty Kane alum, because he just talks about Rutgers more than Kane. Dude.
I know, that is so true.
Somebody else said it, not just me.
I don't know what happened to McCain, but he is a Rutgers guy.
Dude, we were at the AllStar game. Doogs was sitting next to me, and someone's asking him about lacrosse stuff, and he just starts talking about. He starts talking about Rutgers, and I'm like, dude, you didn't go to Rutgers. You went to Kane. He's like, ooh, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like, and now I come to find out he played club lacrosse at Rutgers. I'm like, first of all, I didn't even know you played club lacrosse at Rutgers, so I don't know how prominent of.
Wait, I didn't even know that. Too.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
What, he played that as he was working a real job?
Dude,
Grad
if he was
school.
26 playing club lacrosse and I had to go against him, I'd be like, man, are you kidding me?
God.
He's getting his
I love it.
master's.
Scotty
for
Royster throwing a
education.
crowbar on you while you're trying to dodge on him.
Yes. Yeah, so he got his
I thought
master's
he
at
was-
Rutgers. Dude, could you
I thought
imagine
he was
being
a defender.
19-year-old who's drunk playing Rutgers club lacrosse and you got 26-year-old Scotty Royster dodging down the alley on you?
I thought he was a defender, honestly, and then he told me he was an offensive player. Starts talking
Have you
about the
ever seen his
accuracy
shooting form?
competition.
Have you ever seen his shooting form?
Yeah, he does the Graham Bundy, like the ghetto Graham Bundy.
Graham Bundy.
Dude, he starts talking about accuracy. I pull up his cane stats, and I'm like, dude, he's like, yo, this is, I got to be out there. Like, I could do this. And I'm like, all right, word. Like, let's check your stats. Like, how many goals did you score? And I'm back in my mind. First of all, I was like, I thought you were a defender. Second of all, we're looking at it. I'm like, dude, I think you had like maybe 10 goals your senior year. And look at your shooting percentage. Like, it was under 20%. Like, you couldn't. What the fuck are we
The
talking
volume
about?
guy. Volume guy.
Volume guy. He still got the
Oh,
step
yeah,
down.
yeah. We were talking about the accuracy competition. He's like, dude, I'm smack. He's like, I'm getting up there. He's like, how many are you putting on, like, pinpointing? I was like, I'm maybe closing my eyes, putting two in the corner. Maybe. Scotty's like, I'm getting 7 easy. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I was like,
Scotty
I'd fold like a chair up there.
He definitely has PLL confidence. At least.
Oh,
that.
yeah. Which is good. You kind of need that.
No, that was Coors Light.
Yeah. That was the beer confidence for sure.
Jules, one thing I want to ask you before we move off of like coaching stuff, like I see this all the time on Twitter. It was going around like a week ago, and I want you to kind of like just settle the score a little bit as a PLL pro. But like so many people think there's like not a lot of scheme that goes on at the PLL level compared to the college level. I get they don't get as many practices with each other, but like you mentioned it earlier, you said like it starts with the coaching of like how you separate yourself or how you remain consistently good. So can you like, I guess, dispel that myth?
From a scheme standpoint, well, a couple of things. Number one, the shot clock completely changes the way that you have to think about like scheming, because in college it's 80 seconds, 60 seconds. There's no 32-second off the faceoff. So if you get the ball, there's just a lot more time for you to think through, hey, what are we going to do out here? Then the field is bigger as well. So there's more space for you to be doing different things on the backside, or for you to be setting plays up in the course of an offense. Maybe, you come out in a college game and there's like the one hitter that coaches go for, and hey, we're going to open up with this just to throw it out at them. Maybe we open it up every quarter. Then there's stuff in the timeout, stuff in the shot clock. I mean, at the end of a shot clock, maybe off the end line. In the PLL, a lot of that is player driven, where there might be some influence from the coaches to say, hey, shot goes out of bounds. We want to try this out. But you look at someone like Xander Dixon and Shelley and Jeff T. A lot of what those guys do from I don't want to call it a scheme perspective, but from them improvising in real time is just chemistry. And that chemistry for someone like Jeff T, he's one of the smartest players in the game. Instinctually, he can read off of what someone like Xander Dixon's doing. With Shelley and Xander Dixon, those guys played together for so long, learned scheme from Coach Sean Kerwin, who was a PLL coach and now is coach at Dartmouth University, on what are some things that we can do to just manufacture goals at the end of a shot clock or off an end line, whatever. So a lot of it, I think, is on the players. But then because the field is so small, you're not going to see, anything other than a formation. And so, look, let's call it one of my favorite sets is umbrella set, 3 over the top, 1 guy in the middle, 2 guys behind. You're going to see guys come out in sub patterns that are going to the best teams do this. They're going to come out in sub patterns that are going to set up the formation that they're going to be in. But ultimately, you get on the field, you should know who's going to occupy the pole. Like, I think about Water Dogs, right? Who do you think Water Dogs starting lineup? Let's go Jack Hanna, McConvey, Connor Kelly. Who's going to get the pole of those 3 guys?
I'd probably put him on Jack Hanna.
Yeah.
Jack, yeah.
I agree,
Yeah.
right? So we're all saying that. Scout's probably saying that. Those guys come on the field. If Jack Hanna runs on the field and he doesn't get the pole, well, now we're in a position where we should all be looking at each other and be like, let's get Jack the ball in space where he's going to be able to operate from to bust down this shorty. We come on the field in a normal set. We know Jack's probably going to get the pole. So now McConvey and Connor Kelly are going to get the shorties. Now it's, okay, do we want McConvey initiating the offense? Maybe he gets in a 2-man game with Jack Hanna and they're in that umbrella set and they kind of can do their thing. We have pairs on the backside. But outside of that, maybe it's Connor Kelly is the one who's going to initiate. And Connor Kelly does a great job of gaining leverage on guys. He doesn't blow by guys, but he gains leverage on his matchups. High IQ guy. So again, now it's, hey, we're in a formation. We have specific sub patterns. We know who's going to get the pole. and now it's ball movement because the shot clock is fast, right? You get on the field, you get one dodge, pass, and now it's at like 12 seconds. So now there's not a lot of time. If you were in college, you dodge, pass to get to the backside. There might be time for you to have mumbo actions on the backside or different schemes and things, Kevin, you're talking about to layer in to the offense. But that stuff needs to happen organically. It's got to be, McConvey and Jack Hanna do something. They cut on the backside and then they go for the look. They don't see it. Maybe Connor Kelly throws it, doesn't gets it through to X to Sowers. Maybe Sowers gets a pick, sets for him. He comes topside, shoots it, goes out of bounds. Hopefully it gets off the pipe. If not, now there's only 5 seconds left. And there's just not enough time for you to be scheming that way. So long-winded answer is it's not as much like it is in college because of the shot clock and because of the size of the field, but the players are smarter and they have built-in just IQ of what some of these looks would look like. And then they have to get into the offensive sets and really, progress through them fast. And if you have to go through it fast, you're inherently not going to have as much time to get to the depth of offense that you can get to in college.
Jules, this was your first time calling a PLL game like at any level, right?
Yep.
So I was wondering this. Obviously, Brian Boyle's like a legend, MLL, like Hall of Famer. But you're the first guy coming out of the PLL that was a PLL All-Star in the PLL format. You're talking about, the condensed field, the faster shot clock. These are not MLL rules. How much did it help you this weekend calling the All-Star game? One, knowing half these guys, playing against most of these guys, and then two, knowing the rules to be able to talk about, hey, this is what you're going to be looking at right after the face-off. Because obviously I wasn't listening to the broadcast. I was at President's Row. Not a big deal. Mitch, maybe we'll see you there next weekend, brother.
I think first and foremost, I said this on the broadcast. I'm a lax rat. Like I grew up. My dad would always be like, "Yo, you got to watch film. If you want to be good at lacrosse, you got to watch film. Like you got to get into the game. You got to fall in love with it." And I would just be like, "All right, dude. Like word, whatever." And then I would just watch like YouTube clips. That's all we had. All we had was YouTube. These kids are fucking spoiled out here, and you guys are. I blame Kevin. Right, every 10 seconds, Kevin's like getting this stuff out. And it's like, I don't even know if half these kids are digesting it because it's coming so fast. And for me, it's like, if I had one YouTube video of, the 2010, I think like 2010 highlight, college lacrosse. And I can think of the music in my head right now. I don't remember what the song is. But, you're just seeing like guys like Nicky Galasso playing or the guy on Hopkins fucking ripping the net on that low to high shot, dude. You know what I'm talking about. And I just remember watching so much lacrosse growing up on YouTube as much as I could. And then when I got to high school, I was like, dude, we got to film our games. Like I was telling my coach my freshman year, which I ended up transferring. So, I'm going to put him on the spot. I basically got forced out of my public school because of shit like this, where I was like, dude, we gotta film our games because I'm trying to watch back the games, maybe talk about it with the offense. And they would just be coming up with every excuse in the book why we weren't filming these high school games, which is so
crazy.
stupid. And then I got to Seton Hall Prep. My coach is filming the games. I'm like, let's go. Like, this is awesome. I'm on, I guess it was Huddle at the time. Yeah. I'm watching these games. And all of a sudden I looked up and I realized that my IQ was so much better than a lot of guys. And it wasn't because I was like the smartest guy. It was because I just kept watching. And I just took that into college. And then I took that into PLL. And so I've always just been a lax rat. So then fast forward, hopping into the booth, it was like I'm watching the game, but I've watched every single PLL game this season, and I know all the players because I played with them, but I know how their seasons are going because I'm watching them in real time as a fan being like, well, if you guys would just do this, I think you'd have some more success. Or, man, I love what TJ Malone's doing. His stick protection, the way that he protects his stick in dangerous situations, similar to Dylan Malloy and can still shoot the ball accurately out of it, is a very unique skill that I don't even know outside of box lacrosse. I'm not even sure what you could do to work on it. But that's what separates him. It's IQ, two-handedness, but he gets to spots in the field where, he can be deceptive with his stick and protect it and then get shots off that I'm like, dude, I don't know how you got all that pop on your shot. But again, I'm watching all this. And then to your point, he's hopping in the booth and it's like, I'm just enjoying the game as a fan, but I've watched, it's like 20 years, no, not 20 years, maybe like 18 years of watching lacrosse like it was my job, honestly.
But how much do playing in the league? Because even I think Boyle's it's an easy tell because you can just tell his acumen and his IQ right off the bat. Because it's like he didn't play this exact format, but he could pick it up in like 2 seconds. He's obviously been calling the games since they started, so he knows all the strategies. He's progressed with the league in general. But like, I guess my more question is just like, how much easier is it for you, from just like knowing the format? And rather than like seeing like, hey, I watched Aiden Carroll at Georgetown for 4 years, like now watching what he wants to do in the PLL. Hey, I know like Rambo's tendencies from playing with him, and then seeing how he's developed in his career. Like just knowing, I guess, the rules exactly of the face-off and the 32-second violation. And I do want to point to that really quick in the middle of this question. You saw last year the coaches that didn't adapt to the 32-second shot clock. Those are the ones that got hurt the most last year. And you saw Stags even bite his pride, and immediately, once he was like, no, we got to develop the 32-second shot clock, you found the whip sticks have success. So just kind of touching on that, like just the format and the rules of that.
Yeah, so we'll start with the 32. We'll back into it. The simplest thing that you should be doing in 32, you got to sub fast, get your guys on and off the field, and you need to have someone who is a dynamic midfield threat sprinting onto the field with the ball in their stick right away, trying to draw attention, and then you need to be getting your best player on attack shorty matchups. And just let him operate. And you watch the Water Dogs; they do it all the time. In transition, pass down, pick down. When I was playing on the Whip Snake, or not on the Whip Snakes, on the Redwoods, and I would tell my teammates, I'm like, dude, if we turn the ball over, I'm sprinting into the hole, and let's say it's I don't know, maybe it was Matt Abbott. Matt Abbott is going to take me into the hole and then just set a pick for Rambo or Zed. And for whatever reason, I think it's terminology in the college game. What you guys did at Ohio State was different than what they did at Maryland, different than what we did in Rutgers, different than Notre Dame in the pick game. And a lot of what you see, how the way they build these rosters is we're going to draft guys from the same colleges. And so for the most part, you have, some chemistry, but then you have like 2 or 3 other players who are not part of that unit. So now we're not practicing all the time. You get out there. If I'm running down and I have Matt Abbott setting a down screen on Zed Williams and Garrett Epples guarding Zed Williams, I'm in my head thinking about, I'm going to dog the pick. I'm going to, I think you guys probably did Ohio State, maybe pop out a little bit. Yep. And so I'm coming out to try to stop him. And then meanwhile, so switch. And then it's like, dude, why am I switching? Or let's use Josh Byrne as an example. Why am I switching onto Josh Byrne? Now, Josh Byrne has the ball in the 32 clock. It's now at like 26. And he's just like hanging out, prodding, and then auto slide. Dude, sizing me up, then auto slide. He puts a little jab on me. Auto slide. Now you got 2 guys coming out, and now he can read the defense. I bet, Kev, you could go back and find 32-second shot clocks, and how many times between Sowers, Josh Byrne, and Rambo, there were switches in the past 3 years, and see how many opportunities were created out of those switches.
See, that's what I'm talking about, Jules. I think it's less that you're a newly removed player from the PLL. I think you have a social brain. Like, you are savvy on social. If you look at the other announcers, it's Ryan Boyle, Paul Carcaterra, Quinn Kestenich. No offense to them, none of them have like a massive social presence. And when they do, it's like kind of like it sounds like your dad tweeting a little bit. Like love all those guys, but like I'm listening to you broadcast, and I'm like, dude, he's literally telling me what to post. Like, I mean, I tagged you in them, but like, oh, you had the through X call out, you had the what if plays call out.
That's
I'm listening to that stuff, and I know, But hold on, we got to go back. We got to go back because Jules mentioned how big of a lax rat he is. We got to ask the question.
Oh yeah, we do.
Top five lax rats you played with in the PLL.
Give it to us.
Okay. Garrett Epple is one of them.
What? I would never guess that.
Really?
Yeah,
Where are you putting them now? Five being the least, one being the most.
So let's there's like 2 categories of lax rats.
Yes.
So
also define different lax rats.
Yeah, and these can blend, right?
Okay.
There's the guy who's committed to the craft and is gonna watch everything, all the film, and is gonna he's gonna know all the stats of everyone in the league. He's gonna know all this stuff. Then there's guys who over the course of their lives have just been in the trenches, like trench warfare. I'm talking like old YouTube clips, like you're watching Kevin Rice versus Notre Dame 1-on-1, that lax film room put together. Like you're watching every single thing. Billy Bitter, that's my goat. Like you're watching Billy Bitter absolutely put what's I'm forgetting his name. The Virginia defenseman.
That's all right. We don't have to put on blast.
No, so you put him in the blender. I was watching it yesterday with my brother. Billy Bitter DM'd me, by the way.
That's lax rat, yeah.
Yeah, after the game. But so there's two categories, right? And I think Epple is more of, hey, like if you asked Epple what's going on, who has the most calls turnovers in the league, who is leading assists, this, and third, he's going to be there with you. I would say, let's see, like about the teams I played on. The first year was the Whip Snakes. I would say, who was on? Ryan Jenner is probably up there.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, Ryan Jenner's up there. These are guys I played with. Are you talking about the league or guys I played with?
It doesn't have to be a guy you played with. Just like talking about guys in the league who we know are seeing our clips and like they're consuming it all. Like for example, like TJ Malone came on the podcast. He's like, I'm a huge Lax rat. But he like didn't even know this was Mitch's podcast. Like he's not online like that.
No, dude,
but he's a guy
really
who's
good
like
at lacrosse.
yeah. He's like he meant Lax rat like it
He
sticks
didn't
in my
know
hand
who,
all
like,
the time.
Yeah,
was
he
saying,
literally
too,
would
like-
go and he could be guarded by like Brett Makar
Yeah.
when they were playing Maryland, and he was like, I have no idea who's guarding me right now. Like he is.
Yeah, he's like 77
Yeah.
guarding me
You think
last
there's
time.
two Kevins on this podcast?
I was texting him today. This is the number one. I would give myself say top 3. There's some out there, right? Maybe guys I don't know. I would say top 3. But my number one Lax Rat GOAT is Cole Kirst.
Oh, good answer.
yeah.
Good
Yeah.
answer.
That's a
Exactly.
great answer.
Great answer. Great answer.
Yep. I was texting
I
him
bet
today.
all the curse.
Jules,
all of
as
them
a
are
Lax rat
rats.
though yourself, we asked Dobson this in Albany. He said if you took every player on his team's stick and put it in the middle, he could pick out individually whose stick each player is. Could you do that?
For the chaos, yes, I could do that.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
to me.
Yeah.
I'll ask two very generic ones. I want to know best goalie you've ever faced and best defender you've ever faced.
This is sneaky. Hoagie, Mitch Pehlke. Ben Randall is the best defender I ever played.
Randall, the Buckeye, let's
Top 10
go.
Buckeye. Who like top 10
Ben
Buckeyes?
Randall's so underrated still to this day. He
Dude,
really is.
It's criminally underrated.
He's been doing it for a
Like,
long time.
Dude, he's mean. He moves very well. He's so smart. Times his doubles. Like, doesn't react to you. Like, you could put a move on him, he doesn't react, and then knows how to drop his hips. Plays well at the island. Like, always struggle with him. And then the best goalie, like, I think obviously I played with Blaze, so I think he's like in a category of his own.
You had the trouble
But
with
right-
the most.
I didn't have trouble with Blaze until like 3 years into the league. So I wasn't really like, people were saying Blaze is unbelievable. In my mind, I'm like, I can kind of get him. Like, I don't, he's not that good. So I go off of like what one-on-one or like what's happening with me. And then I remember maybe it was 21 or 22. I was taking some shots and like he saved it. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I was like, I know that's a goal. Like that's a bucket. And then I shot another one and he saved it again. And then I started to think, I was like, man, a lot of people are saying this guy's really good. Like maybe he is really good. Like this, and then after that, I would go into games and I'd be like, fuck, man, like this guy, the game might change because this guy's just robbing all of us. So Blaze is number one, but then after Blaze, Brett Dobson. There was a shot I took last year. I think it was last year in the playoffs, and I was getting down the alley, and this Archer's defense, man, like credit to Coach Resch with how he sets them up, and these guys do it inherently too because they're Canadian. They like to block shots, so they position their bodies in the way of Dobson, not in the way that he can't see the ball coming out of his stick, but in a way that they're reducing the size of the goal that you're shooting at. And so I'm getting a good step on my guy, getting a clean shot down the alley, and there's literally only, like, I'm not kidding, this much area for me to hit a shot, and I hit it off the pipe in the corner. But it's like, dude, that's a good take, one of our few that we got when we scored one goal. And it's like, dude, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, I can't shoot it anywhere else. And the only way that we could get a better shot, Doogs, to your point about the shot clock, is that we got deeper into the possession, and you can't get deeper into the possession because we literally don't have the time to do it. And so then it's just like, we end up with one goal. I'm like, this is fucked, man.
That's crazy.
Hey,
I
Mitch, do
would
you know
say
who coached? Do you know Tony Rush, who he coached?
he coached the.
You know this. You know this was a
he
question.
coached-
This was the ball knower of the week.
This is
He
the
coached
ball
the
over the week a couple weeks ago.
2006 Barrage.
Yeah.
There you go.
Give it to me. Lax Rat. Don't forget about it.
Kindergarten years for Mitch.
Kev, hit Jules with some through the X action. I think that's a pivotal video for two young bucks on here, myself and Hoagie in high school.
Yeah, I remember watching that right when it came out.
Jules, I gave you the shout out earlier when I said, like, you had the memory and the recall in the moment to know, like, the Kavanaugh drill, and then we made the post today. Yep. If this is coming out Wednesday, so it was on the page on Monday. But I just want to know, like, what your experience was, like, because you couldn't have known what it was. You were, I think, the second through X athlete, and
yep.
like, I want to know, like, what it was like when you were filming with Kark. Did you have any idea, like, this is TLN's most successful series, and you're one of, like, the formative athletes of it. So, I don't know. Do you ever go back and watch it? Like, do you ever hear about it still? Are you impressed in what the series has become?
So, you guys want the true story of what happened?
I do.
Yes.
Give it all, yeah.
You never heard the story before.
I might have heard it, but tell everyone else.
So, through X, a new thing, whatever. It's just 2018. It's the first year they're doing it. And I think it was my coach. I think it was Brecht hit me and was like, "Hey, they're trying to do this, whatever." And come to find out that they only wanted to do it with me because my line mate tore his ACL, Adam Charlambides. So it initially wasn't for me. It was initially for Adam, and then I was kind of like the chopped liver that was left over after they realized that, hey, we paid for production. We're doing this. Like, we're gonna have to go to Rutgers and film with this guy Jules. In my mind, it's like, great opportunity, but I'm also like, damn, like they really didn't think I was nice. We film it. It's awesome. Kark, first of all, Kark has been the catalyst for my career in a lot of different ways. Like he called me and said, hey, do you want to do a game for announcing? He came and did through X, like whether or not Charlambides went down, like he came and he was like, dude, this is, you're, the guy at Rutgers. Like, I want to highlight you. What you guys are doing is incredible. And we did it. And we were there, and I think he was honestly surprised about the way that I could articulate in my lacrosse knowledge in a lot of ways, which I think, like Rutgers, we weren't on the map really, So I just think it's one of those things where, hey, we're trying to get on the map, and Kark's given us an opportunity, and then I'm happy to be like, hey, dude, this is how I see the game. This is what's going on. And he was like, I'm impressed, man. Like, you speak about the game very eloquently, this, that, and the third. And I was like, I appreciate what you guys are doing for me. So we have a great time. We shoot it, and then 3 months goes by, and it's just ghost. And I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, I remember we shot that, and like I thought it was good, but I guess I just didn't do a good job, or like it wasn't good enough, and that's why they're not using it. And I was like, fuck, man, like that was kind of a grind. Like we spent the whole day doing this, whatever. Then we get into the Big Ten, and at this point, I'm leading the Big Ten in scoring, and it's me and Connor Kelly are up for Big Ten Player of the Year. And all of a sudden, it just drops. And I don't know if it was Jordan or Kark, and I was like, dude, what's going on? Like, did you guys wait the whole year to see if I was actually going to pan out to drop this episode of Through X? Like, god damn, man. And he's like, no, bro. Like, it was, the production just got backed up. And I'm like, okay. So it just happened to be that, because I could have been trash. Like, it was very possible that I could have not had a good senior year, and it didn't come out, and then they could have been like, damn, we shouldn't release it now because this kid's not very good. And it just happened that I was having a good senior year, and Rutgers was having a good senior year, or 2018 season, and then they dropped it, and then it was like blowing up because I was doing well playing, and then now you have all this video to kind of back it. And I think that was honestly, like, to this day, these kids will come up to me and be like, dude, like, through X, like, drag your foot, or you can't guard me one way. And I'm like, dude, like, that's kind of crazy. Like, it's lived on, what's it been, 8 years since?
Yeah.
Since it came out. That's crazy.
For the record, your episode, over 200,000 views. I think it's just one of those things, like, young attackmen consume that, and they want to know, like, all right, Kark is great at the hosting and, like, the interview, not just, like, getting in your head about, like, the X's and O's, but getting in your head about, like, what makes you tick, what makes you want to be great at lacrosse and stuff. But, for the record, that's the timeline it always is. If you remember this year, we did Joey Spallina and Coulter Mackesy. We filmed Joey Spallina when Hopkins was playing Syracuse, which was mid-March. That didn't come out till tournament time. So, it takes a minute to put that together.
Dude, classic Rutgers, though, me being like, man, like, fuck these guys. Like, they just came and filmed. Like, they don't care about us. Like, everything, I was just always on, not always on edge, but I was always like, damn, someone's out to get us. Like, we really got to make it happen. It's just what you got to do at Rutgers to try to
I can't
to try
believe
to
you
get by.
scheduled. Jules, if you didn't have a good senior season, like through the X wouldn't come out for the tournament every single year now. Like, you changed the way that through X
You
is
changed lacrosse media.
scheduling. Like, now they have to be like we can't let Jules catch us.
I'm still gonna stand on this. If I had a crap senior year, there's no way that comes out.
Don't ever say it.
There's
shot.
way.
No
There's no
shot.
way. There's no way.
I love that.
It was also before my time at TLN, so
Yeah, that's
I
Jordan.
don't nothing to do with that.
Shaparsky. There's Jordan Shaparsky.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah, we
Blake
gotta get
Jordan.
the real truth. We gotta get Jordy on for the real truth.
The legend. All right, let's finish out with a couple fun ones here. PLO behind the scenes. Any crazy locker room stories that you can kind of chat about here? It's something that obviously we have never been involved in.
Define crazy.
He's thinking in his head. He's like, "Can I say what? Can I?
Yeah.
Can I not
Yeah.
say?"
What
Like,
can
you
I-
say,
yeah.
TLL preseason.
I don't know. Most interesting cats in the locker room, guys that you might have played against in the Big Ten, and now you're on the team with, and you're like, this guy's actually hilarious. I don't know. Obviously, Rambo is a guy that comes to mind that you never really know what you're going to get. But I don't know, anything inside the locker room or hanging with these guys that you obviously weren't teammates with at Rutgers that, are some of the most funny and have the most hilarious stories you've ever heard?
So I was on the Whip Snakes for 5 games. I got traded to the Redwoods, and then I signed with the Chaos. So I played in 3 different locker rooms, and I played in the Florida launch as well. And this first guy that comes to mind who's just honestly hilarious, and I don't know if you guys know this, is Arden Cohen.
I didn't know that.
Great
Maybe Doogs.
Dukes.
Arden Cohen, you guys got to Kev, whatever the communication is, find someone to lock in with Arden. Just follow Arden around and just watch how he acts on a regular basis. He's one of the funniest guys ever. He's one of my guys. And so nothing like specific with Arden as far as like crazy to happen, but just like his tics and the way that he does things, the shit that he says is hysterical, and the league has no idea. So I would say like that's the first guy that that no one's really thinking about. And then I would say just generally, like there's so many different locker room personalities of guys, and I'm the type of guy where like, all right, I got my music on, like I'm doing some meditation, and like I'm locked in. And then you got other guys in the locker room who, they're just throwing a fucking shoe in or Zins, and they're just sitting in the corner with their feet up, like in their underwear, like just watching a game, like Zin in their lip. Like I just think about a guy like Garrett Epple, and he's just not even like remotely concerned about the game. And then all of a sudden, game's getting closer, and these guys can just lock it in and turn it on. And I'm not going to go into specific details about guys in the locker room or crazy shit that's happened because I can't out the boys. But I will say, I think that's one of the cooler things about sports is like everyone has their own way that they go about stuff. And if you would be shocked at some of these guys that are the GOATs in the game, what they do before the game to mentally prepare and get ready.
Wow.
Where
That's
I'm like
interesting.
Kobe Bryant mindset. Like I gotta, I'm trying to Mamba mentality, get locked in. And some guys just, IDA is another one. These guys are just chew in. They're doing whatever they're doing. And they just throw the bucket on, and then it's game time, and they're ready
Game
to go.
time.
That's how
Game
Doogs
time.
podcasts.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Just roll out of bed and put on the Nooners hat. You're ready to go.
I love that.
I respect that, man. Everyone, we're all rowing towards the same goal, but everyone's got a different way to get in there.
Zoot mentality, Mitch.
Definitely. I would leave you with this. Obviously, you played at the Florida launch, played in the MLL, obviously in the
Yep.
PLL as well. There's so many differences on the outside of just a lot. We could go into it for days. What for you was the biggest difference, or maybe one on the outside we don't know about?
Dude, I've been seeing a lot of these accounts pop up on Twitter, and I honestly don't even try to engage with it because some of it's so bad. Like honestly, old MLL guys where I played in the MLL. Like I didn't play in the MLL in 2004, but I did play in the MLL, so I can speak on this. Guys are talking about, the level of competition in the MLO was this, or like we liked the aesthetics better in here. Like I've seen like, the cheerleader is this. Like, dude, when we played in the MLL, I remember I only played in 7 games, and we had in Florida, and every place was different. But in Florida, and this doesn't discredit the work that the coaches put in to prepare and what they were getting paid. This doesn't discredit the guys that were working hard and showing up and putting their bodies on the line, because you still had to do that. But from an experiential standpoint, when I went from 2018 to 2019 PLL, it was not even close. Night and day. You took a 1,000% leap in regards to getting your flights booked to get to the games and getting home on time. When you're actually at the game, right, what the pregame buildup is, like what the food situation, the people helping you get your gear, and then actually, the pregame like it seems silly, but the way the PLL goes about setting up the locker room and getting you ready to actually enter the game, and get ready for the actual game. Then we're actually playing the game. You might look up in the stands for a Florida launch game, and there's quite literally 50 people in the stands, and we're playing against the New York Lizards. And, Paul Revel's out there, cutting people up, doing his thing. And dude, there's 50 people watching it. And it's like Dylan Malloy is Dylan Malloy, fresh out of college, Tour-a-ton winner, doing crazy shit. Not the Dylan Malloy of, 8 years later, but right when he was fresh. And I don't even know if you guys have that tape, because
probably
it was on Lacrosse Sports Network. And I would have to send out, to my friends that even cared to watch and be like, yo, like, can you guys tune into Lac Sports Network? I think it was Lac Sports Network. And I'd be like, can you guys watch the game? And after, be like, dude, I couldn't get on the stream. Like, it didn't work. And I'd be like, all right, word. Well, like, I'm a pro. Like, I'm trying my best out here, guys. So I say all that because that was like the experience side. But in the actual competition, PLL, if you don't show up and during the week, right, to do your job, that you are on the chopping block. Like, there are only 3 safe players in the PLL, if that.
Who are they?
I would say Trevor is number 1.
Yep.
And I would say a guy like Graham Hosek is top, probably up there. And then I would say Dobson. It's the goalkeepers, like a Dobson, a Kirst, and a Blaze Ridden.
Yeah.
And to kind of take the third. And there might be other guys, but like those come to mind right away, where this is the way that they play and their style and how valuable they are. You're never going to just see them like drop off a cliff. But if you're an attackman in this league and you're supposed to be the guy, and you go 3 games and you have 1 point because you just didn't shoot well, that 4th game, I promise you that the coaches in this league are looking around being like, if this guy doesn't switch it up, he's going to start running out of the box, or we're going to have to put a different guy in. The MLO, that wasn't the case. Not only was that not the case, but during the games, because it wasn't as competitive, the energy on the field was like, we just can't wait to get to the post game. Where the PLL, you can't have that energy. You can't have that because your ass is getting sent home if you have that, And so I say all that. The burners and whoever's on Twitter talking about MLL in 2006, like, you got to cut me a break, dude.
It's ridiculous. It's not even the same. Well, Jules, we appreciate you again. Sorry for my co-host Doogs for taking such a long time to get you on, but it's been a pleasure.
Mitch opened up the podcast basically like off. He's like, "Hey, Jules." He was like, "Hey, Jules." Sorry.
Show.
Well, we started off the show, Jules, and Mitch right away. He's like, "Jules, I know you're following me on my YouTube. You liking all my stuff. You knew all of this, and then you're going to say that you didn't have the power to invite Jules on your podcast.
That's crazy talk, man.
You don't even like your fans and appreciating a player like
Point
Jules.
the thumb to chest, Mitch. Thumb to chest.
That's all I'm saying. You got to blame me
here, but we have some co-hosts here that need to uphold their bargain too. But Jules won't be your last time. Maybe you can take Duke's spot one day. We'll never know. But Jules, thanks again for hopping on.
Yeah, just like Barstool. So now Mitch wants me off.
I appreciate you guys. It's you guys do a great job, and like I said, like for someone like Hoagie's just trying to get the content going on Twitter, ignore the haters, leave Chapt GPT behind, and continue to just be consistent. Right, consistency is the key with this stuff. So I appreciate you guys, and you show up every week to do it. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Bang!
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jules. You're the man.
Jules Heningburg, absolute legend. Dukes, continue to do your job so we can get the best guys in the interview spot. Let's just keep it rolling. We're not going to do start, bench, cut this time around. We're going to do buy and sell your favorite jerseys from the throwbacks that PLO just released. Take a look at the screen. We got the throwbacks on the screen. Dukes, since you've been my favorite on this episode, I want you to start buy and sell favorite and least favorite jersey from the throwbacks edition.
All right, I think right off the cuff, I'm going to buy the Cannons throwback to year number 1. I think that I've seen the mesh jerseys enough years in a row that I can just be like, yeah, they're cool. This feels like something different and kind of doing into that MLL glory days. I know we were just talking about the MLL glory days. But seriously, if you're going to talk about the glory days of the MLL, it was those first 5 seasons. The ones that, like, I was like 3 years old for. Mitch, I'm not even sure if you were born yet.
Wasn't born.
I'm going to sell the Water Dogs jersey for one reason. I think it's getting too much hate on social media right now. I think it's so close to being number one. I don't love the green script across. I think if they just hid the green and the purple and you kind of had that like Buzz Lightyear, Barney little color code together, it would be nice. But the green is just a little bit too much for me. So I'm going to cut that.
Interesting.
I like it on the sleeve, though. I think they can actually put that in the actual jersey.
Okay, interesting. Kev?
I'm going to buy. It's a little bit of a tie for me between the Cannons and the Outlaws, but since Duke said Cannons, I'll say Outlaws. They remind me of when I was a young man, watching MLL. And then if I had to sell one, I would definitely sell the Philly jersey. Honestly, I hate the homage to the Philly Eagles. The Eagles are the source of all the sadness in my life, and I can't root for them if they're going to wear that jersey.
Okay. Hoagie?
I'm buying without a doubt the Cannons one. That one's so sick.
Yeah, that
it looks
one's
so
sick.
sick in the photos, and I'm telling you, you don't think it could get better. It's going to look even better on the actual field, too. That thing's going to look unbelievable. And like Kev said, the Outlaws one, too. Shout back to the history of, the MLL and pro lacrosse history, right? Celebrating the sport with all those teams. And this might be a controversial one, but I'm selling the Redwoods one. I don't like it. I don't like the cartoon bear with the stick.
Really?
No, I think they could do a lot more with the Redwoods one. I really do. I liked last year's a lot. Not that I don't like the cartoon bear, but it's a little too chill for me. Like, if we're doing with the cartoons, I love the Archers, whatever you want to call that little cartoon that the Archers have on the shorts. I like that one. And I'm a mascot guy, Mitch. You know that. And then the whips. I like the throwback whip logo, the M with the snakes on the Maryland one, too. I don't know. The Redwoods one, I think if you're going to do one of those logos with the animals or whatever, maybe put on the sleeve or subtle somewhere on the back. I don't like it being the centerpiece in the middle if you see it. But, yeah, I'm going to sell the Redwoods one. I don't know. Redwoods, I think people have said have had great throwbacks last couple of years, which they have. This year, not my favorite.
Okay, interesting. I'm buying the Cannons. I think it's unanimous 25 seasons. You obviously see it. They've had the repertoire of having some of the sickest jerseys. I was going to say sneaky second is Cali.
Really?
I
You
love
like
the
it,
Bear.
Mitch?
I'm
Really?
a big fan of the Bear.
Yeah.
Kev's obviously shaking his head.
I don't like
'cause
it.
They're twins.
Kev,
Dukes,
you're on my
anything?
side. Kev, you agree?
My biggest thing that I can't stand is I want numbers on the front of the jersey.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, interesting.
I
Dukes,
don't
what do you think?
that anyone should take. I'm not that you're saying you are. Like, I think that if there's going to be a time that you do the Philly green script across, it's now during throwback weekend. When you want to throw a cheesy mascot on the jersey, do it throwback weekend. Like, don't make it an absolute staple to your jerseys. So I think it's fun. I like it.
Okay, I like that.
I'm
I
with
like
you.
that.
I think Redwoods might be number 2 for me too.
Yeah, see, I'm again buying Cannons, sneaky 2 with the Cali. My sell is actually the Chaos.
Really?
I feel like we could do more there. Like, I mean, it looks like the same jersey as the Archers.
I was going to say, the one that I think we can do more on is the Atlas, to be honest. There's really nothing crazy there other than the font.
same.
I feel like we could have done more with the NY. Last year they had the across the chest, the New York, something with the city maybe. I don't know how we want to do it. Maybe some Yankees theme, I don't know.
They did that. Did they have those on the old jerseys, right, Kev?
Yeah, with the pinstripes.
Yeah, but
clearly
like
going
maybe
for, like,
even a
if you
little
look-
more throwback. I don't know. I just think the Atlas we could have done a little more. I love the Archers. The Archers one's really clean. I also like the whips. I like the shoulder stripes on the whips. I do.
Yeah, I think that looks sick. Yeah. All right. Well, that
Underrated episode piece, though, is the gear wrap myself, Mitch. You got to see what the short color combination is, because that's going to make a difference, too.
I
Is
would
it
put
white on
Hoagie
white? Is
in
it
any
what color
sort of
shorts?
trenches with gear. I'd face him against anyone. We might need to get that soon on a YouTube video, but that's going to wrap it up. Episode 20.
Whoa. Are we not doing a ball knower?
Do we have one? Do we have one?
Mitch is really trying to leave.
You know what
this
I
episode.
can't wait for? Is
Mitch
somebody
wants to
get
get
it
out
right.
because he's not getting the
I can't
point,
wait
so he's trying to leave,
I
Kev.
didn't even realize about this till the compilation came out on lacrosse.show. Follow us on Instagram. As soon as somebody gets it right, producer Corey hits us with a bingo. Love that. Love that. Love that. All right, Corey, what do we got?
All right, ball knower of the week. The PLL, obviously doing their throwback weekend in Chicago this week. With that being said, we're going to ask a super old school question. So,
Mitch.
Kev's 50. He's going to get it.
super old school. In 1877, Who was the very first NCAA school to create an official lacrosse team?
Cornell.
University of Chicago.
Nope.
Johns Hopkins.
Nope.
And NYU.
Bingo.
NYU.
Doogs.
Or Princeton.
I got it.
Was it
Bingo.
Princeton or
I
NYU?
knew it. Mitch.
NYU.
Wait, which one was it?
NYU.
Wow.
What? That's a homer pick. He's from New York.
How did you know that? How did you know that?
Yeah.
You're now the oldest. Doogs is now the oldest on the podcast.
Wait, what's the
Takes
score?
one,
Does
takes one.
Hoagie have one?
I got half a point, Mitch. So you're the only one at a goose
No.
egg.
How did you get a half a point?
Because me and Kev, we got the two teams in California. He got one. I got one. Yeah.
Dukes,
I
how
got a
did you
half
know
point
that?
too, but
How
I
did
don't
you
do-
know that?
You don't need to count my half point. I'm all good. I want my full.
You know, he probably had Chapt GPT speak to text up.
Yeah, he
Heard
had,
Corey
what was
say
that
it.
thing with the music? Shazam, where you would like press it down.
Shazam.
Yeah.
He's always cheating. So you
Me?
gotta remember about that guy.
Me?
Gosh, that's gonna wrap it up.
The
Episode
Tony
24.
Resch one. Mitch is like,
Dukes,
you
wanna
watch
give us
the
a shout-out?
episode.
Me?
He said the Tony
Yeah.
Resch one, Dukes. You're cheating.
Dude, Mitch can't believe that like I'm actually paying attention to the games and the history and not the YouTube videos. He gets like
Easy
shocked
pressure,
when he's like, you know who Marco Lombardi? Which by the way, your best bit. I was like, who the hell is Marco Lombardi?
Cut 2 compliments in one episode from Dukes. That's a great sign out. We'll see you guys
Gotta
next
cut that out.
Wednesday.